Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house? Finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition. It's Florida Talk Real Estate. We got you for the next 2 hours of infotainment. Thanks for being there. See you out there, 92.1, 101.7, the old terrestrial radio. Maybe you are worldwide right now. Yeah, that's right. With the free download, the iHeartRadio app, or maybe, just maybe, you're opting into live stream with us, where you're learning for the first time that we do live stream on a Saturday morning. You can join us. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, there's a live stream. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. It's home of a ton of informational trade videos, plus the live stream. Good morning to everybody on a Saturday morning. Of course, you're welcome to be a part of the program. Toll free 877-927-6969. If you have questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate, want to dive into the question conversation at hand, go ahead and do that. The first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, Jim, is my brother from another mother.
Doing mighty fine. Good morning, Johnny. How are you today, bud?
I'm real good, man. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
Always good to see you on a Saturday morning. I'm your old buddy, your old pal, Johnny C. Of course, your air traffic control on a Saturday morning. Let's get your starting lineup. Always a pleasure to say good morning to Ross Komarinetz. He's with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. Ross, how are you?
Microphone. Yeah, skip a week. You forgot.
You weren't here last week?
No, what's that?
I wasn't here. So
Okay.
yeah, I totally forgot as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're used to it, so it's kind of here, but yes, good to see you.
Nice to see you as always, dude. It's been a minute since we said we reference all the time, but it's been a little while. I can say Happy New Year, even though it's February 15th. But I haven't seen AJ Hollman with experienceappraisers.com. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
It's been a while.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you do get reference.
Hey, good. Happy South Florida, everybody. I wonder who was here last week, because I wasn't here and you weren't here and Ross wasn't here. So
I think 15+ years now we run the talk
So we have a really good show for this week. Really good show.
Happy South Florida, everybody. I wonder who was here last week, because I wasn't here and you weren't here and Ross wasn't here.
So really big shoe. You would say shoe. Really big shoe. That's a really old reference. That's even old.
We have a really good show. Really good show.
Me too.
What's that guy's name? The old guy?
Ed Rowan and Martin's
Ed something?
Ed Sullivan?
Ed Sullivan.
It was pretty fun to watch. Sammy Davis Jr. was on it.
That's a really old reference.
That's even old for me.
Sadly, I remember now.
Me too. I was watching the rerun of Rowan and Martin's Laughing recently. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
We got a lot of shout-outs. We're going to
Sammy Davis
today.
Jr. was on it.
Oh,
It was pretty cool, right? Seeing Goldie Hawn when she was young whippersnapper.
20 years changed, baby.
Yeah,
radio reference.
We got a lot of shout-outs. We're gonna today. We're
You hear that?
Yeah.
All right, so AJ's phone
No,
is
I was
on.
gonna
I always
say,
thought
what's,
it was
what's
like
going on with the tape?
the way it was. The volume on it.
It worked.
Now.
Now I think it's gone.
I
It's
stopped
over.
by to get
Yeah,
this
thank
one.
you.
Someone recording.
oh,
Yeah.
I'll get it.
He
Yeah, I
mentioned
felt,
it
I
before we
felt, I
started.
felt
but
like
I'm
the
pretty sure
station
that's
was running.
the way it always is.
We don't have tape on that one, Jim?
yeah. I was gonna say what's going on with the tape?
They never listen.
Mad, yeah, Cal.
It
We
worked.
got a
now,
lot
I
to
think.
talk about today.
it's
We're
cool,
going to
man.
Yeah.
talk about, and it's really
I always
funny
thought
because
that was
I've
a
had
little tape trick.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought
two proposals
like
this
the station was running two
so
things at one time.
it's really great having
AJ
AJ here.
tried to
Because
stop
what I
it
want
before
to
we
do is
stripped
talk
it. I was
about
like, I think that's the way it is.
They never listen.
how you should handle it.
We got a lot to talk about
From the
today. We're
homeowner's
going
point of
to
view,
talk about,
you know,
and
what to
it's really
expect,
funny
and,
because I've
I
had
have a good experience
we had
with that.
three
and try to get
appraisals
the
this
best
week.
results. We're also
So
going to be talking
it's
a lot
really
of
great
questions
having
about
AJ here
Ross.
because what I want to
I
do
guess
is
I'm
talk
going to have to
about
make an apology
tips
on air
about
in a little
getting
bit
ready
later.
or how you should handle the appraiser from the
But you do have
homeowner's point of
something
view.
to talk
You know
about what
what
we
to
talked about
expect
last
and
week, where we had a
how to have
caller
a good
talk
experience
about
with that, try to
putting
get the
some
best
kind of
results.
chemical on
We're
the
also
roof
going to
to
be talking
expand
a
the
lot
life
of
of the
questions
roof.
about Ross.
Ross wasn't
I
here,
guess I'm
so
going to
I
have to make an
acted like
apology
Ross.
on air in a
I
little
don't
bit
think I was
later.
fully Ross.
No, I
was
don't think so.
maybe
I don't think so.
one quarter
But you
Ross.
do have
So we're going to
something
get into
to
that
talk
a
about
little
what we
later.
talked about last
But
week, where we
first,
had
I
the
want to
caller
talk about a little
talk
bit of
about
shout outs and
putting
some
some kind
teachable
of
moments here and
chemical
some
on the roof to
really
expand
cool
the life of
stories.
the roof. And
So remember
Ross
the
wasn't
story
here, so
about
I
Jack and
acted like Ross.
Diane?
I don't think I was fully Ross.
So
I was
Greg and
maybe
Diane, not
one
Jack and
quarter
Diane.
Ross. So
Greg
we're
and
going to
Diane.
get into that a
So
little later.
what happened
But
was
first, I
last
want to
week,
talk
last
about a
Thursday,
little
we
bit of
put their
shout
house
outs
on the
and some
market,
teachable
and
moments here.
they
Some
are a
just
seller
really
buyer.
cool stories.
And
So
congratulations,
remember
they
the
have sold
story
their
about
home. It's
Jack
under
and
contract,
Diane?
and we signed under contract for the new
So
home yesterday.
Greg and Diane,
So
not
the whole
Jack and
thing
Diane.
took a
Greg and
total
Diane.
from
So
last
what
Thursday
happened was
till
last
yesterday.
week,
So
last
what was
Thursday,
that?
we put their house on the
8
market,
days?
and
8
they
days,
are
start to
seller
finish,
buyer.
seller
And
buyer.
congratulations, they have sold their
Now we
home.
got to
It's
get
under
through the
contract,
inspections for
and we
both
got them under
properties, right?
contract for
And
the new home
I don't really
yesterday.
see a problem with
So
that
the
'cause
whole
both
thing took a
properties are really
total
excellent
from
condition.
last
So I'm
Thursday
knocking on
till
wood there.
yesterday.
They're
So what
both
was that?
cash, so there's no
8 days?
appraisal, no lender
8 days
involved.
start to finish.
Hopefully this will
Seller
be a very
buyer.
smooth
Now we got to get
situation
through
for
the
both of them.
inspections for both properties, right? And
Yeah,
I
both
don't really
cash, so
see a
it's
problem
making
with
it
that
really.
because both properties are really excellent
Well,
condition.
we
So
were
I'm knocking
kind of
on wood
lucky,
there.
Tracy,
They're both
because the
cash.
buyers that
There's
came
no
to buy
appraisal,
their
no
house
lender
offered
involved.
cash, which was really
Hopefully
nice.
this will be a
And we
very
knew that
smooth
Greg and Diane were going to
situation
be
for both
cash
of them.
buyers. New home.
Wow, both
They're
cash,
going to
huh?
take
Yeah,
a
both cash. So
Is
it's
that a
making
weird
Let me tell you, I
coincidence,
don't
or
want
does
to
that
get into
happen?
all the
Well,
details yet, but
we
we
were
were
kind of
competing
lucky,
on that
Timothy,
house
because
that
the
we got
buyers
under
that came to
contract
buy
yesterday
their
for
house
them.
offered cash,
I
which
was on
was
pins
really
and
nice.
needles for like
We
6
knew
hours,
that
not sure if it was
Greg
going
and
to
Diane were
work.
going to
It's
be
like
cash
we could
buyers
have
on the
lost
new
out
home
for sure.
because they were going to take the
It was a very
proceeds.
strong property. It
So
was
let me
only
tell
on
you,
the
I don't
market
want to get
one
into
day.
all
We
the
were the
details
very
yet,
first
but we
people
were
to go in.
competing on
I
that
followed
house
that property for a
that we
week
got
trying
under
to get them
contract
into the
yesterday
house,
for them.
and the agent
I was
said
on
when
pins
we
and needles
left,
for like 6 hours,
showing
not
the
sure if it
house,
was
and we
going to
knew we were
work
turning it
because
offer.
we could have
He was
lost out for sure.
said something to
It
the
was
effect
very
that
strong property. It was
you know,
only on
you're
the
the
market
first people
one
to
day.
come
We
in,
were
and
the
it's only
very first
because
people to
Jim
go in.
was so
I dogged that
persistent.
property for a week trying to get them
So
into the house.
persistent
And the
means I was a
agent
pain in
said
his you
when
know
we
what,
left,
right? So
showing the
Lee,
house,
thank
so
you
we
so
knew we
much.
were
He's a
turning an
KW
offer.
guy in another
He was
office,
like,
and thank you
said
so
something
much
to the
for
effect that,
getting us in there
you know,
first.
you're the first people to
It
come
didn't
in, and
matter
it's
because
only
it was such
because
a proper
Jim
property.
was
There
so
were several
persistent.
people right after us, and they
So
had turned an offer.
persistent means I was a pain
So
in
we
his
got
you know
it.
what.
The
Right? So
contract.
Lee, thank you so much. He's a
It's
KW
so
guy in
weird.
another office,
It's
and thank you
it's
so
very
much
weird.
for
Some of the
getting us in there first.
houses are going
It didn't
very
matter
fast.
because it was such a
Okay,
popular property. There were
and
several people right
other
after
houses
us,
are
and
sitting
they
there,
had
just
turned in
sitting there,
offers
and
too.
sitting there, and
Wow.
sitting
So
there.
we got it. We're happy.
Prices
We're
Are
were
we
in
back
contract.
to
AJ.
2020?
Price
It's
is
so
really
weird.
big factor in today's
Take it
market,
easy.
It's
correct?
very weird. Some of the
Right?
houses, some of the
It's
houses are going
buyers got to
very
see the
fast.
value in the
Okay.
house, so they're not making
And
the offer.
other
And
houses
you
are
know,
sitting there
people,
and just
you know,
sitting there
we're
and
in
sitting there and
still
sitting
more
there, and it's
typical
really a price
market
issue.
where
Hint,
people
hint,
will see
AJ.
the house and not make an
Price
offer
is
right
really
away.
a big factor in
That
today's
doesn't mean
market,
they're not
correct?
going to make an offer.
Absolutely.
So
Right?
last night,
It's
my
buyers
phone
got to
started
see the
blowing up
value
at
in the
like
house,
7
so they're
o'clock,
not making the
7:15
offer.
last night.
And you know,
There's an
people,
agent saying,
you know,
"Hey, we
we're in
showed your house
still
last
more
week,
typical
and we want to
market
turn in
where
an
people will
offer."
see the house and not make
And
an offer right
that was
away.
Greg and
But
Diane's
that
house.
doesn't mean they're not going to
And
make an offer.
if he had
So
told
last
me after he
night,
showed the
my
property
phone started
they were
blowing
in
up at like
play,
7 o'clock,
that they hadn't
7:15
said
last
no,
night.
he didn't give
And it
me any
was an agent
feedback
saying,
from mine.
"Hey, we showed your
What you
house
do is
last week,
showing,
and we want to
you
turn in an
automatically
offer."
for 2 days ask for
And
feedback
that was Greg and
through
Diane's house.
electronic
And
texting and
if
emails,
he had told me after he
asking
showed the
for
property
feedback on the
they
showing.
were in
If
play,
they had
but
called
they
me
hadn't
and
said
said, "Hey,
no, he didn't give
we're
me any
interested in the
feedback
house,
in
but we
mind.
want to see a couple
When
more
you do a
houses or
showing,
something,"
we
I would have
automatically
probably
for 2
called them
days
when
ask
we
for
were
feedback
when the
through
new offer
electronic
came in and said, "Hey, an
texting and
offer's in.
emails.
if you want to make an offer, you
asking
gotta
for
make it
feedback
now.
on the
He
showing.
didn't
If
communicate.
they had called
Communicate
me
at
and
all.
said, "Hey,
So
we're
house
interested in the
contract.
house, but we
Now
want to see
he's
a couple more
offering,
houses or something,"
and if Greg
I
and
would have
Diane are
probably
listening, they
called
don't know
them
any
if
about
we
this
were
part right now because this all happened at
new offer came
8:45
in and
last
said,
night.
"Hey, an offer's in.
Including
If you want to
verbal
make an
offer
offer, you got to
or
make it now."
electronic
Sure.
offer,
But
not
he
real
didn't
yet.
communicate. Didn't
That
communicate
we
at
would
all.
probably take as a
So
backup
house under
offer if
contract. So
everything looks
now
good.
he's offering.
We're looking for a
And
backup
if Greg and
offer.
Diane are
So
listening, they don't know any about
those
this part.
people were more like
Because
normal
happened
buyers
at
in today's
8:45
market.
last
They
night.
looked at the
They
property, it
turned
was
in a
on their
verbal offer or an
potential list,
electronic
but
offer,
they
not
wanted
real
to see
yet.
a few more homes
That
before
we
they made
would
a
probably
decision.
take as a
But
backup
when the homes
offer
are
if
hot,
everything looks
you
good
don't
on it.
have that time
And that, we're
anymore.
looking for a
Even
backup
in this
offer.
market, if the home is
So
hot, people see
those
value.
people were more
So
like normal buyers in today's market. They looked at the property, it was on their potential list, but they wanted to see a few more homes before they made a decision. But when the homes are hot,
Yeah,
you don't have that
so
time
in
anymore.
pricing it, you
And
want,
even in this
as a
market, if the
seller in
home is hot
today's
and people
market,
see
you want
value,
to be in that
you can't mess
competition.
Because
around.
we're in an oversupply position.
Yeah, if you want if you want to sell it, you got
lowest
to be in
priced
the right
home, or
price
if it's
point.
the
So
most
you really got
attractive
to look
home,
at what
it's
other people
still
are
going to
paying
have
in that
competition.
neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So,
really
in
price it
pricing it,
where
you want,
buyers can
as
see
a seller in
value
today's market,
based
you
on your
want to be in
condition
that
and your size
competition
in that neighborhood.
bracket.
Only if
So
you
that
want
they
people to
can
look
see
Yeah,
at
if
it.
you
the
want
difference.
if you want to sell it, you got to be in
And
the
we
right
looked
price
at
point.
Greg
So
and
you really
Diane
got to
probably
look at
looked
what
at
other people are
12
paying in that neighborhood
houses,
and
12 or
really
13
price
houses
it
on
where
3
buyers can
trips, I
see
think.
value
Okay.
based on your
And
condition and
there
your
were only
size
2
in
houses
that
that really
neighborhood
wanted to buy.
so
One
that
went,
they can
we
see.
saw
'Cause
one
like,
last week. Our house wasn't under
when
contract
we
yet,
looked at what
and
Greg
it
and
went in one
Diane
day,
probably looked
right?
at
And then this
12
one's in the same
houses,
neighborhood, and it
12
basically
or
went in one
13
day.
houses on 3
So,
trips,
when
I
you're
think,
hot, you gotta
okay?
jump on it right away. So
And
we actually
there were
stopped
only
our
2
showing.
houses they
We had
really
a few
wanted to
more
buy.
houses to
One
show
went,
that day.
we saw one last week.
I
Our
was
house
like,
wasn't under
there's
contract
other
yet,
people that are gonna be
and it
making
went in one
offers on
day,
this house. I
right?
can just
And
feel
then
it,
this
right?
one's
I
in the
go,
same
"Do you wanna
neighborhood, and
see
it
the other
basically went
ones?
in one day.
Or do you wanna throw an
So,
offer in on
when
this
they're
right
hot, you
away?" And
gotta
they're like,
jump on
"Let's
it
just
right
stop
away. So
everything."
we actually
So we
stopped
drove
our
to the
showings.
Trident
We had a
Title
few more
office
houses to show
tore
that day,
everything out 'cause I
and I
couldn't get
was
to
like,
our office 'cause it was
there's
too
other
far
people that
away,
could be
so I
making
just, like,
offers on
barged
this
into the
house. I could
Trident
just feel
Title
it,
office.
right? I go, "Do you
'Cause
wanna
they gave me
see
an
the other
office, I
ones,
needed to
or
negotiate
do you
some
wanna throw an
contracts,
offer
but
in
they
on
were so
this right
nice. They were
away?"
like,
And they're like, "Let's just stop everything."
they were
Yeah.
trying to
So we
close
drove to the
somebody in the
Trident
lobby
Title
'cause I was
office,
using one of their
forced
offices.
everything
I
out
was
'cause
like, I
I
stepped
couldn't get to
outside,
our
and I'm
office
like,
because
"Hey,
it
I
was too
think we
far
should
away. So I
switch."
just, like, barged into the Trident Title office.
Yeah,
They're
that'd
like,
be
"Give me an office. I need to negotiate some contracts." And they were so
Yeah,
nice.
sure,
They
that'd
let
be
me
great.
do it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
They were
awesome,
trying to
awesome.
close somebody in the lobby
Yes,
because
I
I was
would, yeah,
using one of
so
their offices.
Chris
So I was like, I
needed to
stepped
have,
outside and I'm like, "Hey, I think we
you
should
to our
switch."
office,
That's
Keller
amazing.
Williams and Clayton
You wanna swap out?
Yeah, that would
Jackie Ellis is our broker, and Chris
Wanna
just
take a
got
phone
his
call real quick?
Yeah,
license.
sure,
He,
that'd be
Chris
great.
is calling
was
in for the
a
open house.
awesome,
So
awesome.
you want to
customer of mine.
introduce Chris?
He's
Yes,
done
I
a lot of
would.
real
Yeah,
estate in
so
the past, but
Chris
then
Peterson is
we worked
on,
together on a deal or two,
new to our
and
office.
then he
Keller
decided
Williams
he was going to
Newton
get his
Beach
license. I think
patients.
he's always felt that
Jackie Ellis
way
is
because
our
he's always
broker,
done
and
something in
Chris
real
just
estate.
got his license. He
Owned a bunch of
was
properties over
a
time. He went
customer
out,
of
got
mine.
took
He's
advice.
done a lot of real
Where's
estate in
my
the past, but
where's
then
my microphone,
we worked
Chris?
together on a deal or
Yeah, my
two,
microphone.
and then he
Hello?
decided he was
Oh,
going to
now
get
it's
his
good. Now it's
license.
good.
I think he's
Yeah,
always
so
felt that way because he's always
he
done
decided,
something in real estate.
yeah,
He
he
has
took the
owned a
cram
bunch of
course to
properties
get
over time.
the
He
license,
went out
which
and
is
got
the
took
smart way to
advice.
do it.
I feel like
Got the license right away,
is my
and now
microphone
I'm
working?
coaching him and
Yeah,
helping
my
him
microphone.
all
I
our
can hear.
systems so that he
Hello?
can get
Oh,
going.
now it's good. Now it's
And
good.
today he's
Yeah,
going to be doing an open house for us
he
over on
decided,
Cedar Island today,
yeah,
so I'm
he
excited
took
about
the
that.
cram
Hey,
course to
Chris,
get the
how are you doing
license, which
today?
is really the smart way to do it. Got the license right away, and now I'm kind of coaching
Awesome,
him
awesome. I
and
wanted
guiding
to
him
thank
to
you
all
for
our
putting out
systems
all
so
those
that he can
social
get
media
going.
posts about
And
this open
today
house
he's going
and
to
some
be
of the
doing
other
an open
properties.
house for us
Chris is
over on
much better
Cedar
at
Island today,
technology
so
than
I'm
I am,
excited
so
about
one of the
that.
benefits
Hey,
I get
Chris,
out of this
how are you
is
doing
that
today?
his social media posts are way
Hey,
better than
Jim.
mine.
Hey, everyone. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks.
Yeah, it is. It's a
Awesome, awesome. I
tremendously
wanted to
low
thank
bar.
you for
You
putting
know,
out all
starting
those
out
social
negative,
media
when you
posts
start out
about
from
this
the
open
negative
house
thing,
and
it
some of
doesn't
the
take
other
too much to
properties.
be better
Chris
than
is much better on
the negative.
technology than I am, so
So
one of the
thank you for
benefits I
doing all
get out
that.
of this is
That one
that
video you
his
did,
social media posts are way better than
I don't
mine.
even remember which
Jim,
property
Jim,
it
it's a pretty
was, but I
low
was
bar.
like, wow,
Yeah,
I
it
need
is.
to
It's
go
a
there.
tremendously low bar. You know, starting out negative, when you start out from a negative thing,
That's
it
like a
doesn't
day's
seem
long
like to
thing,
be better
right?
than the negative.
But
So thank
thus
you for doing all that, Chris.
volume
And
problem that
that
we
one
had on the
video
show
you did,
today, right? Proving it.
I
But
don't even remember
Chris,
which property it was,
welcome to
but I
Keller
was like,
Williams,
wow, I
and
need to
I'm really glad that you're doing the
learn how
open
to
house
do that
today.
super
Tell us
fast because he
about
did it so
the open
fast.
house.
And for me, that's like a days long thing, right? Thus the volume problem that we had on the show today, right? Proving it. But Chris, welcome to Keller Williams, and I'm really glad that you're doing the open house today. Tell us about the open house.
Yeah, no, thanks. So I'm really excited about this property. It's, looking at the photos of it before I went over there, I was like, yeah, this should be pretty nice. And then I walked up to the place, and it's right on a canal, right near Peanut Island and the Phil Foster Bridge there. It's fantastic. You walk out the door, there's an enclosed small little courtyard. courtyard. You walk out that courtyard, and right in front of you is a boat dock. That's a boat slip available on the property. And if you go to the left about 20 or 30 feet, you've got this panoramic view.
Yes, I'm trying to open up. I'm showing on our YouTube and Facebook pages the property right now. And
absolutely nothing.
tell me about the size and the
It's an
square
amazing
footage and
opportunity
some
for
of the
someone.
upgrades in the house.
And we're going to find that someone today, I feel.
Yes, I'm trying to open up. I'm showing on our YouTube and Facebook pages the property right now. And tell me about the size and the square footage and some of the upgrades in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. The total square foot is about 1,293. Most of it's the interior space. the outdoor terrace that's fully enclosed, screened in. I think it's about 150 or 100 and so square feet. As I said, it's been fully renovated. It needs absolutely nothing. It's got all stone countertops, brand new appliances.
Yes, and I love how they did all
you're
neutral
looking
colors
for
for the
an
upgrades. So it's,
opportunity to
you
move
know,
into a
exactly
place
what people are
just
looking for
enjoy
today.
the
I also
South
like the
Florida
little
sun and
details,
boating,
like where they
I think you're
tiled
going
the
to
back
have a harder
porch.
time finding something on
So
the
the
water
tile
for this
is uniform from
value,
the
for this
house
great of a
into
price.
the screened-in
Yes,
back
and I
porch
love how they
to the
did all
water.
neutral colors for
Really
the
nice detail. And
upgrades. So it's,
we haven't
you know, it's
mentioned one of the
exactly what
biggest
people were
benefits of
looking
this
for.
house, Chris.
I also like the little details, like where
The
they
22
tiled
foot,
the back
the
porch.
22-foot
So
boat
the
dock.
tile is uniform from the house into the screened-in back porch that overlooks the water.
Nice.
Really nice detail. And we haven't mentioned one of the biggest benefits of this house, Chris. The 22-foot.
Which one is that?
The 22-foot boat dock.
There is
It's a 25-foot long slip that can handle a 22-foot long boat.
property.
You could also put
you
like
can
in
hold up
little.
to a
Chris came up with a good
22-foot boat,
idea.
so
If you don't
basically,
have the boat, or you're
you
not
want to
interested
be
in the
able
boat,
to jump out of
but
your
you
house
still want to have
and
a fun
take
experience to bring
off.
your toys, you could do these floating docks, right, Chris?
It's
Floating
a
docks, and then
25-foot
use it for
long
like jet
slip
skis.
that can handle a 22-foot long boat. You could also put like in little. Chris came up with a good idea. If you don't have the boat, or you're not interested in the boat, but you still want to have a fun experience to bring your toys, you could do these floating docks, right, Chris? Floating docks, and then use it for like jet skis.
Absolutely, yeah. It would fit a couple of jet skis, no problem in there. There's a lot of different options for floating docks. That
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
super
it's
simple
awesome.
to
And
do.
the price,
the
so you
benefit
can get
Peanut
with
Island,
the
as
boat
I
dock
mentioned,
with a
by
20-foot
jet
boat,
ski. It's just a
22-foot
couple of
boat
minutes
slip,
away,
and
and
the
I know
house
Lisa and
completely
my partner and I,
renovated.
we go out to Peanut
You're
Island all the
you're
time
only
on our
asking
jet skis. It's just a ton of fun.
$559,000. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
pretty
it's awesome.
amazing.
And
And if you didn't want
and
the
the
dock,
price,
the
so
dock
you can
is
get
sellable. You
with
can
the
either
boat
lease the
dock, with
dock
the
or sell it.
20-foot
You have that right because it's
22-foot boat slip,
privately deeded to
and
you.
the house
The only
completely
restriction
renovated.
is you got to either lease it or sell
You're
it to
only asking
somebody in the community.
$559,000.
But
This is
you can
pretty
still sell it.
amazing.
So if
And
you
if
have no
you
need
didn't
for the
want
boat, you
the
still have
dock
a
is
fully
sellable.
fixed up
You can
tutu,
either lease the
beautiful
dock or
waterfront
sell it. You have that
views,
right because it's
and then sell the
privately
boat
deeded
dock,
to you.
right? And then
The only
you're making some
restriction
extra
is
money,
you got to either lease
reducing
it
that
or sell
total
it to
value of the
somebody in the
559
community.
total purchase
But
price.
you can still sell it. So if you have no need for the boat, you still have a fully fixed up tutu, beautiful waterfront views.
Really?
And then
That's pretty
sell the
wild.
boat dock, right?
Because
And
of
then,
how big
you
of
know,
a
when you
boat
make
you
this
put
extra
in there,
money,
is that
you
how
can
you
show
service it?
that total value of the 559 or the total purchase price.
Back in the heyday of values, I appraised a cube of water, $250,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Praise the water, yeah.
Because of how big of a boat.
Hey,
you
does
put in
that mean
there,
this
Yeah,
water
it
rises,
was,
so it's
it was a
worth
big
more?
bargain.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
value
right.
goes up.
And it was a big. The guy had a real nice boat. You know, but I'll never forget that. I'm like, I'm appraising
It
water.
is north.
You know,
Yes,
water,
north.
that's expensive water right there.
Hey, does that mean as the water rises, it's
The
worth more?
value goes up.
the
Yeah,
value
right.
goes
Because it's a
up.
bigger
We
volume.
forgot to mention, I think, that
So
it
this
is a
condo is
55
it
over
south of
community.
the bridge,
And
or
it's a
north
very
of the bridge?
active lifestyle over
It
there.
is
And you know what else I did,
north of
Chris,
the
is
bridge.
I
Yeah,
did
bridge.
put
just
comp when
north
I
of
was
the
putting
bridge,
that,
yeah.
condo
I
on
mean,
the
that's a
market
great area, even
to
just to
see what the
kayak
other
or surf.
buildings,
You know, take
like
a
what people were
paddleboard.
paying for
Sure is.
tutus
We forgot to mention, I
in
think,
that
that it
general
is a
area.
55
Now, of
over
course,
community.
across the street on
And
the
it's a
beach with
very
those
active
oceanfront views
lifestyle over
can
there.
be a
And you
little
know what else
different.
I did, Chris,
But
is I
we're
did a
one
quick
of the
comp
lowest
when I was
priced
putting a condo on the
fully
market
fixed up
to see what
condos
the
in
other
that island right
buildings,
now.
like
So
what people were paying
559,
for
it's going to
tutus
be a really good deal.
in that
Chris,
general
what
area.
time are you
Now,
going to
of
be
course,
out there
across
today?
the
Is there a
street
gate to
on
get
the
in?
beach with
Like
oceanfront
little
views
instructions
can be
on
a
how to
little
get to the
different.
building?
But we're one of the lowest priced totally fixed up condos in that island right now. So 559, it's going to be a really good deal. Chris, what time are you going to be out there today? Is there a gate to get in? Do you have like little instructions on how to get to the building?
Yeah, there's absolutely no gate. You just take Sugar Sands Road in and follow it literally all the way to the water. You're going to feel like, am I there yet? Am I there yet? But just take it all the way virtually to the water. There's a number of marked guest parking
That's
spaces
awesome. Now,
right
that's
there.
1030
And once you
Sugar
get to the
Sands
final
Boulevard
parking lot there,
in
the
Singer
property
Island
is
or
right there
Riviera
on the right.
Beach.
So it's very
And
easy to get in and out.
and go to our
it's a
Facebook
beautiful
page
show.
and you can see the
I will be
information
there
on it,
today
and then you
at
can head out
11.
there.
11 till 2
Go
o'clock
out
this afternoon.
and say hello to Chris
That's
and
awesome. Now,
welcome
that's
to the Keller Williams
1030
team. And I
Sugar
know that he'd love
Sands
to talk to you about any
Boulevard
other questions about
in
real
Singer
estate.
Island or
There
Riviera
for
Beach.
those questions too.
And
Chris, just out of
and go to our
curiosity, do you mind
Facebook
telling
page
us
and you can see
why
the
you
information on it,
decided
and then
to
you
go ahead
can
and
head
get your
out there.
license?
Go out
I always
and say
find
hello
that
to Chris
interesting.
and
You know,
welcome
a
him
lot of
to the
people
Keller
that are
Williams
leaving real
team. And I
estate
know
right
that
now.
he'd love to talk to you if you have any other questions about real
And you're
estate.
coming in.
We didn't have enough realtors.
Those
Thank God we
questions
have
too.
another one.
Chris, just out of curiosity, do you mind telling us why you decided to go ahead and get your license? And because I always find that to be interesting. You know, there's a lot of people that are leaving real estate right now.
we
And you're
didn't have
coming
enough.
in.
We didn't have enough realtors. Thank God we have another one.
No, I think it was very selfish in a way because, so as Jim mentioned, I've always bought and sold properties throughout my life. I've done it in a handful of different states now. I just love it. I enjoy it. And I think so one, I'll benefit myself in doing this, but beyond that, I realized that, the first time I bought a house, I basically knew nothing about what I was doing. I was very green, very naive. Fortunately, the deal went super smooth and everything worked out fine. But as I've gone through the years, I'm like, I had this epiphany that it's just people don't understand the complexities of buying property, and it's gotten more and more complicated. I know I used Mike Rao when I bought my most current house, and I told him, I was just like, man, this is the most difficult closing I've ever had. And it was, I've done this multiple times.
Yeah, he matches pretty well. And the thing is, he has the standards that we all have here. He's honestly as long. He wants to do what's best for you.
Because
I just watched him, when they were negotiating when he was buying or selling.
Yeah, he matches pretty well. And the thing is, and he
I know he's
has
going to have
the standards that we all have here. He's honestly as long.
Chris, so everybody go out and say hello to Chris today. 11 o'clock to 2
just
o'clock
watched
at
him,
10:30.
when we're negotiating when he was buying or selling everything, and just saw how he killed everything.
And Chris, will you do me a favor?
And I know he's going to have a really great success.
Sell that condo.
Really excited about it. Chris, so everybody go out and say hello to Chris today. 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay, we'll remind everybody as the show goes
Riviera
along.
Beach on Singer Island. And Chris, will you do me a favor?
Great showing out there today.
Absolutely.
Sell that condo.
Happily. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a good feeling today.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay, we'll remind everybody as the show goes along.
Good luck out there. Appreciate the phone call and welcome to the team. Have a great showing out
You're
there.
going to throw me under the bus right now? I don't know. That's the bad part. I don't know.
So how would you know which slip to pull into if you were showing up on a little 18-foot boat?
Johnny,
That's what I was I don't know.
Just
park wherever you can.
I don't know.
There should be like a balloon on
Yeah,
it.
so
Because
we're
never
really
does
excited about
go
it.
down. As they're
It's
showing,
really an
we're up
amazing
boat.
renovation.
Slip our little 18-footer.
Literally every
Quick in and
single
out.
that.
Whatever one's empty.
Well,
is fine.
That's what I was going to say. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Just
Yeah.
park wherever you can.
Yeah.
That's the bar.
Yeah, so I know we're really excited about it. It's really an amazing renovation. Literally every
really?
spot
That's
that
cool.
condo's been touched.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's-
And
For sure. If
and
you like,
then,
if you like that lifestyle,
yeah,
because that is
yeah,
a
you're across
fun
the street
little
from the
area.
beach.
That
obviously.
sandbar is
What's
great.
cool about that, they have all those
People upstairs
restaurants
do a
like
concert out there
Two
every year. My wife manages that
Uncle
thing.
Johnny's
It is
and
fantastic.
really?
and all that,
That's
all
the best
right down
concert we'll ever
walking
go
Oh
to.
wow! And
Standing in the water.
And then,
what are you laughing about, Ross? Are you laughing?
yeah,
Mark,
you're
about
across
that?
the street from the beach, obviously. But what's
Oh,
cool
is
about
it- what
that,
is it,
they have
Johnny
all those
Longboat?
restaurants.
Oh,
like
I didn't know that.
American Boats and Longboat Johnny's and pizza place and all that, all right down walking distance. You just walk out of your community, make a right, and you're right there. What are you laughing about, Ross? Are you laughing about that?
I think he said Longboat
Longboat
Johnny.
Oh, what is it, Johnny Longboat?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was trying to, it didn't sound right to me. And I was just trying to put it together.
Oops. another Jimmy D mistake.
All that information for that showing on Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. And remember, we live stream as well there.
We're going to finish up
You got
this half
YouTube
hour with
source.
just a couple
The
little more
.com is
shout-outs.
really important because it's access to the entire team. But man, do you have sources to reach out to the team? Remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Your
Okay.
one-stop shop.
Yeah, I
No
know,
one
because
can
I'm trying to
share.
remember what I did. You know,
Just,
I
we're
actually,
gonna finish
I
up this
actually
half hour with
measured
just
it.
a
I drove
couple little
something
more
like
shout outs.
998 miles in 3 days, just
It
in
was
this general
somebody,
area. I'm
nope,
like the family circus
those
of
were all
realtors. 'Cause
appraisers.
I
You can
drove
Okay.
that
actually
little
see
thing with the
my
little
Yeah,
dots
I know, because
everywhere.
I'm trying to remember what I
It's
did.
crazy.
You know, I actually,
Call after call, which I'm very grateful
measured it. I
for.
drove
But
something like
Greg and Diane,
998 miles in 3
the
days,
it's kind of
just
interesting.
in
I
this
want to
general area.
juxtapose
I'm like
Greg
the
and
family
Diane, who I
circus
just
of
got under
realtors,
contract
right? You know
yesterday,
that little thing with the
selling their
little
house
dots
and buying
everywhere?
their house,
It was pretty
compared to
crazy.
my new
So
customers I'm
it
going out
just
with today,
call after
right?
call. I'm
So
very
Greg and
grateful
Diane
for,
have,
but, Greg and
they're
Diane,
empty
they're
nesters basically, and they're
it's kinda
downsizing
interesting. I
and
wanna
selling their house in Coral
juxtapose
Springs,
Greg and Diane,
and
who I
then they
just got
wanted
under
to take the
contract
proceeds of
yesterday
the
for
money
both
they
selling
saved
their
on
house
that house
and
to buy
buying their house,
something up in Palm Beach County
compared to my
for
new
cash,
customers
and
I'm
they
going
wanted
to
to be closer to
today,
their
right?
grandchildren.
So Greg and
So
Diane
their
have,
big thing was,
you know, they're
this is probably
empty
gonna be their
nesters
last home.
basically, and
That's
they're
what their plan
downsizing,
is.
and they're selling their house in Coral
You know, and
Springs,
so this is
and
really
then they
important
wanted
to
to
pick the
take the
right one.
proceeds of the money they
They
saved
were
on
very
that house and
nervous
buy something up in Palm
about,
Beach County for cash, and they wanted to be
how
closer
they
to
were
their
gonna get into
grandchildren.
contract on the purchase
So
of their
their
home
big
if
thing was,
their home
this is
hasn't
probably
sold
gonna
yet.
be their last
And
home.
they
That's
were
what their
also
plan
worried
is.
about, well, if the
And they
home sells
wanted,
and we
so
don't
this
have
is
a house
really
yet,
important,
how
they
the heck
picked the
are we
right
gonna
one.
do that?
They were
And
very
that's why I
nervous
sell a buyer.
about,
And, it is stressful. There's
how
no
they
doubt.
were gonna
And
get
I
into
actually had to
contract on the
remind them,
purchase of their home
thanks
if
God,
if
we'll get
their
into
home
more
hasn't
detail
sold
as we
yet.
get past
Sure.
the
And
inspection
they were
period.
also worried
But there
about,
are a lot
well,
of
if the
things that
home
made them
sells and we
nervous
don't
about
have
the
a house yet, how the heck
transaction.
are we
You
gonna
know,
do
I
that?
finally had to say to them,
And that's
you know,
called the seller
look,
buyer.
guys, first thing
And,
I said when we sat
it is
down at the
stressful. There's
dining
no
room
doubt.
table
And I
is,
actually had to remind them, things
this is
got,
the
we'll get
second
into
most
more detail as we get
stressful
past the
real estate
inspection period.
transaction in
But there were a
residential that
lot
you
of
can
things that
do
made
other
them
than a
nervous
short
about the
sale.
transaction.
And the reason why I say
I
it's the
finally had to
second
say to
most
them,
or second most
guys,
stressful, not
first thing I
worst,
said when we
is
sat
for
down at
short
the dinner
sales, you're asking the bank
table
to
is,
take less than what is owed as payment in
this is
full.
the
You don't
second
know if
most
the bank's gonna do that or
stressful
not.
real estate
So you're out
transaction in
putting the house
residential
on
that
the
you can
market,
do
you get a
other than a
buyer,
short sale.
turn in the
And the
offer, and you have
reason why I
no
say it's
idea
the
what the
second
bank's gonna
worst
do, right?
is,
So that's
or
pretty
second
stressful.
most stressful, not worst,
Now, what's
is the
stressful
short
about this
sales.
is
You're
that whole
asking the
kicking
bank
the
to
yank.
take
How am I
less
gonna
than
sell
what
my
is owed
house
as
if I don't
payment
know
in
what I'm gonna
full.
buy?
You
How am I
don't
gonna
know if
buy
the
my
bank's
house if
gonna
I don't
do
have the
that or
money
not.
because I haven't sold
So
my house
you're
yet,
out putting the
right? So
house
that
on the
plays into
market,
that.
get a
So I
buyer,
had to clearly
you turn in
remind them
the
at one
offer, and
point,
you have
it's like,
no idea
I
what the
didn't
bank's gonna
say
do,
it
right?
was
So that's
not
pretty
gonna be
stressful.
stressful. I
Sure.
just said I'm gonna
Now,
make sure
what's
that we go
stressful about
through it
this is that whole
correctly.
chicken and the egg. How am I gonna sell my house if I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy? How am I gonna buy
And
my house if I
they
don't have
thank
the
God
money
they've
because I haven't sold
trusted
my
me
house
so
yet,
far, and I don't
right? So
see,
that
I'm
becomes
knocking on
that.
wood here,
So
I
I had
don't
to
see
remind
any
them at one point,
real
it's like,
issues.
I didn't
Now,
say it
if
was
they weren't
not
doing cash,
stressful. I just said
meaning
I'm gonna make
buyers
sure
coming
that
and
we go
buying it
through it
cash
and you're
and they're buying
protected.
their house cash,
Everything's
if
gonna
it
be
wasn't
okay
like
at the
that,
end, right? And
oh,
they thank God they've
a lot
trusted me
more pothole
before, and I don't
potentials at
see,
that
I'm
point,
knocking
right?
on wood
But we
here,
don't
I
have
don't
any of
see
those
any
issues, so I'm really,
real
really
issues.
excited for them. Now, the
Now,
flip side is
if they
gonna be
weren't
today.
doing cash,
So
meaning
Greg and
buyers
Diane,
coming
empty
and buying it
nesters, trying to
cash and
find
they're
their
buying
last
their house
home,
cash, if
and
it wasn't like that,
using all
There's
the
some
equity
pothole
they built
potential.
up from the
a
homes
lot
they bought in
more,
the past, they kept
pothole
rolling the money
potentials
into
at
their
that
new
point,
home,
right? But we
and they
don't
see
have
their
any
new
of
home
those
raise
issues.
their
So I'm
kids,
really,
and now
really
they have a
excited
lot
for
of
them.
equity,
Now,
and
the
they can
flip
buy their
side
new home
is going to be
cash.
today.
Well,
So
now
Greg and
Michael and
Diane,
Lisa
empty
out there
nesters,
looking for
trying to
their
find
first
their
time home.
last home
That's so cool, right?
and
So,
using all
young
the equity they
kids,
built up
they're
from the
really
homes they bought in
excited
the
to
past, and they kept
buy.
throwing
We've
the
gone
money
out
into the
twice
new
now,
home. And they
haven't
stayed
found
at
the
their
home
home to
yet.
raise their kids, and now they
That's
have a lot of
okay.
equity, and
You
they
know,
can
you
buy
gotta
their new
get the
home
right
cash.
one for them.
Well,
They're
now
on a
Michael and
different kind of
Risa out there
situation
looking for their
with,
first time home.
Greg and
It's so
Diane. It
cool,
was
right?
That
basic
is.
cash. They were
So
on a
young
budget, but they
kids,
had the money to
they're
do what
really
they needed
excited
to do.
to buy.
With,
We've gone out
Michael
twice
and
now,
Risa, first-time
haven't
home
found a
buyers,
home
they're
yet.
always at, and this
That's
is very
okay.
typical in
You know, you
today's
got to
market,
get the right one for
going
they're
at
on a
the upper
different kind of
limits of what they can
situation.
afford.
Greg and Diane, it was going to be cash. They were on a budget, but they had the money to do what they needed to do.
Right, and it's
With
kind of a little bit in
Michael and
between.
Risa,
It's a
first-time
little
home
bit
buyers,
more
they're
than you're
always at,
comfortable with,
and this
but
is very typical
what's
in today's
comfortable
market,
with is a little too low,
going at the upper
realistically,
limits of
to
what they
get
can
something that
afford.
they're going to want to keep
they're
for
comfortable
5
with, or
years,
what they can
7
afford.
years,
There's a difference.
to build up the
Right,
equity to
and
get the
it's
new
kind of a
home,
little
right?
bit in between.
So
It's a little
we're
bit
going
more
over
than they're
all those very
comfortable with,
carefully
but
with them.
what they're
But
comfortable with
with
is a
them,
little
it's
too
all
low
about trying to
realistically
find the best
to
home you
get
can for
something
the
that
least
they're going to
amount of
want to
money,
keep
the best
for
neighborhood,
5 years,
which
7 years,
is great. So it's just so funny.
so they
I
can
mean,
build
not
up the
funny,
equity,
just so
get the new home,
fulfilling to
right?
watch, helping
So
families
we're
get
going
into the
over all this
transition as empty
carefully with
nesters,
them.
getting into their new
But
places, still
with them,
buyers.
it's all
And
about
then
trying
the
to
very
find the
next thing,
best
I'm
home
out
you
there
can
running
for the
around
least
looking for
amount of
first
money
time
in the
home
best
buyers and
neighborhood, which
using
is
down
great.
payment
So it's
assistance
so
and all of
funny. I
that
mean, not
stuff,
funny. It's just so
trying to get in
fulfilling to
there
watch,
first time. So it's just a
help
lot
a
of
family
fun.
get into the
But
transition
yes,
of
I'm
empty
excited.
nesters
I
getting
think we're
into the new
scheduled to see
place and
7
seller
properties
buyers.
show
And
today.
then like the very next day, I'm out there running
you're
around
next.
with
We got
first-time
Daniel
homebuyers
and
who's
Greg
gonna
and
be
Diane.
using
Daniel
down
and
payment
Lynn
assistance
in
and all of that
contract week
stuff,
before last. We
trying to
got Greg
get in
and
their
Diane
first home.
yesterday.
So it's just a lot of fun.
Beautiful
Done. Yeah, so I'm excited. I think we're scheduled to see 7 properties after the show today.
Excellent.
So Michael and Risa, you're next. We got Daniel and Greg and Diane, Daniel and Lynn in contract a week before last. We got Greg and Diane yesterday, so you're due. So we're going to be out
And then
going.
wanted to
I think there's
thank
1 or 2 in here this
Sophia
week that
and
might be good.
Andres.
I'm excited
I
about
They
love
were also
the,
first
I
time
remember
home
the place
buyers.
they're in. I love the feelings they're going through, and there's nothing better
And
when they're
we had
just
a really
staying in
good
that one house and
meeting,
be like, this is
and
great,
they
man.
called up out of the blue
it.
this
Yeah,
week.
yeah,
Jim
I
came over with
can't
his
wait. And then wanted to
We wanna
thank
work with you, so
Sophia
we're gonna be
and
working with them.
Andres.
And both
They are also first-time home
Greg
buyers,
and
and
Diane came
I met
because
with them like
Greg's
2
been a
weeks
big fan
ago,
of the show for years.
and we had a really good meeting.
Who I was
And they
until we
called up
started,
out of the
which is
blue
very
this week
typical.
and said, "Jim, send
But
over the
I got
exclusive
them
buyers
from the
agreement.
show, and
We
then
want to work with you." So we're going to
Michael
be
and
working with
Risa,
them. And
their
both
family has done a couple of real estate deals.
Greg and
with us in
Diane
the
came
past, and
because
their
Greg's
parents
been
said,
a
"Hey,
big
you
fan
gotta
of the
go to
show
Jim.
for years.
He's really
Diane
nice."
doesn't know
And
who I
Andres
was until we started,
and
which is very
Sophia, they
typical.
were also referrals
But
from
I got them from the show, and then
brother and sister
Michael
that
and
we've helped
Risa,
out in the past.
their family
And it
has
was
done a
the
couple of
uncle
real
that
estate
said, "Hey,
deals
you
with us
gotta
in
call
the
Jim
past,
if
and
you're
their
gonna be
parents
buying a
said,
home."
"Hey, you got to go to
So we're
Jim,"
really
which
looking
is really
forward to
nice.
helping all of them.
And Andres and Sophia, they were also referrals from 2 people that are in a database, brother and sister, that we've helped out in the past. And it was the uncle that said, "Hey, you got to call Jim if you're going to be buying a home." So we're really looking forward to helping all of them. And
that's the share part when I talk about FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Once you know it, you definitely love it because the resources, the team, the expertise is just unmatched. It truly is. I don't know if you can find a resource. Maybe it exists. It's very possible. I'll say I'm open-minded enough to say it's possible. I just am not aware of a resource where you can go and get pros, experts in their field, like all of them.
Yes, and my mom
So,
just mentioned that
I
she's
see
hearing an
why
echo. Can anybody
shared
else
that information. I
on
always say,
Facebook or YouTube tell us if you're hearing an echo or not right now, and then we'll fix it during the
change
break.
lives. And it sounds like
Okay,
lives have been changed, and they'll continue to do this. Little reset, Jimmy D.
yes, and my mom just mentioned that she's hearing an echo. Can anybody else on Facebook or YouTube tell us if you're hearing an echo or not right now, and then we'll fix it during the break.
Cool. Excellent.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for letting us know. We are going to do a quick little reset. We'll get back at it. Plenty of time remaining. If you're interested in joining the program, don't be shy. 877-927-6969. Chris joined us earlier with details of that open house today, 11 to 2. Find those details at Florida Talk Real Estate's Facebook page. Nice condo. Sounds like a great spot on Singer Island. Yeah. That's again today, 11 to 2. Find those details on the Facebook page. But we know the phone lines work. If you'd like to join the conversation, don't be shy. Jimothy will line you up. Of course, if you want to dial in right now, 4-minute reset, and we'll get right to your phone calls. If not, totally understand. Always remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is .com. Your access to the entire team. Again, know it, use it, love it, share it. We're back in 4 minutes. Florida Talk Real Estate right here. It's Real Radio.
What's a Real Radio podcast? It's Real Radio on demand. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Here's the latest with weather on Real Radio.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. We're expecting sunny conditions to continue. Temperatures will also continue to climb under those sunny skies into the low and mid 80s. We will see that 10% chance for rain persist in addition to breezy conditions, which has prompted a high rip current risk, so just double check those beach flags.
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? Whether you're a local shop or global enterprise, Bank of America gives you access to a range of business solutions to help make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Yep, toll free, 877-927-6969. It is a rolled out welcome red carpet for you on this Saturday. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. He'll line that up. What's up, my dude?
Hello, and good morning, Johnny.
Yeah, good morning, Johnny C. That's me. We are live on this 15th of February, the day after Valentine's. Hopefully you took care of whoever you needed to take care of, yourself included.
Mm-hmm. Was that yesterday?
It was. Did you take care of yourself?
Yes.
Good. What's important. That's Ross Komarinetz, Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. Ross, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good to know that you're taking care of yourself.
Yes, always,
Yeah.
always.
Well, you gotta.
Looks like it.
I think Sublime said it best when they said, "First, take care of head." What they're really implying is you got to take care of yourself.
That's
first
right.
and foremost. Right?
Is
At
that-
least that's what I got.
Is
from
that
Paul.
smoke two joints?
Yeah.
Is that smoke
It
two
is.
It
joints?
is, yeah.
Oh,
Before he smokes two joints,
or-
yeah. Then he smokes a couple more.
How do I know?
Hey,
that?
hard work good, hard work fine.
Yeah.
But first, take care of head.
Take care ahead.
Yes. I'm Johnny. Of course, AJ Hollman's with us. It's been a minute since we said good morning. He's with experienceappraisers.com. AJ, always a pleasure. And he knows his Sublime, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And, of course, Jimmy D is here. He's our fearless leader. 13 plus years now. He also knew two joints, which stuns me a little bit. But I learn about Jimmy D all the time. I've known him a long time. He's amazing in every way. But I have this little extra piece that I admire today. He runs the top producing Keller Williams team, the Florida Home Pros, Keller Williams Innovations. Jimmy D, how you be?
I'm not your typical realtor. That's for sure.
True story.
Hey, I'm so glad that we got AJ here on the show today because the market is going to be, I think this is going to be a very choppy market this year. Just to start off about the economy part, the Fed's already said that they're basically not expecting to cut the Fed.
Well, inflation's like rearing back. They're saying,
yep,
so,
inflation's bouncing back.
Feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, anybody hoping that these interest rates are going to start going down significantly, I don't think don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
And if it does go down, I think it's going to go back up again, and then go down again, and go back up again. I think it's going to be very choppy. But if we get any relief,
hey, that'd be great. If I think everybody's down with choppy, if you can just catch those little down dips.
Well, actually, right before we get into the appraisal,
let me know when one of those pops
yeah,
out.
Seriously.
Well, actually, I actually was doing a little bit about that, guys. So let me ask you what you think about this. Okay, so last year, this is what kind of happened last year, right around this time, was the interest rates were like 6, 7, 9. And then in 4 weeks, it went up to 7.17. How come it sounds like I'm muted again?
I don't know. It happened again.
Doesn't it sound
I'm going to go
different
back
now?
to user error.
Yeah,
it's definitely user error. I didn't do anything.
Nothing.
But we went from 679 and we jumped all the way up to 722 last May. And that took us basically 4 weeks. 4 weeks we went up 3/4 of a point. Okay. And then we went down from May. We kept going down basically on a trajectory all the way to September. And then when September hit, we jumped up. It might have been the second fastest rate increase in the history of the United States recorded. We went from 608 to 684. Oh, I thought actually it was higher than that. 684 in like 4 weeks.
Yeah, it was fast. It wasn't like 3 points, but it was fast.
Yeah, and it happened super fast. And what we're seeing right now is we started going down in November, and we kept the interest rates kept reducing until December, and December is when they started going up again. And we had 5 weeks of increases that brought us to 704, and now today we're at 687. So we've been down 4 weeks in a row. They've been down by very little. Like this week, we only went down 0.02. Okay, so you saved like 3 cents on your mortgage payment.
Nice.
Did you catch that? Catch that dip?
Yeah, did you catch that? You gotta make the money in the swings.
Yeah.
You gotta make the money in the swings.
Yeah,
That's a home run.
it's all
right
about
there.
timing. Yeah.
So we have seen it going down, and if this trend, it looks like there's a little bit of a trend here. Now, what could happen is we could see that next week it starts going up again, which it might, because all the reports came out this week said our economy's a little too hot, right? So we'll see how this is all going to work out. But maybe we are in a trend where we're going to continue to go down like we did from May until September, right? But I don't really think that's going to happen, because May through September, we didn't have any Fed rate cuts. And we went down naturally, organically, right?
Right.
And then the Fed cut the rate in September, and then they cut it, I think, 3 times. And all it did was increase the mortgage rates during that time.
But I think what they're reacting to inflation, not the Fed.
No, on that one, AJ, what happened is, in my opinion, because I was predicting that the rates were going to increase before the Fed rate cuts. I said, if the Fed cuts the rate 0.5 point, because everybody was talking about a 0.5 point rate cut.
Yeah, they always anticipate what it's going to be.
And I said, but what I was saying, if they cut it 0.5 point, the interest rates are going to jump. Not many people were saying that at the time. And the reason why I felt the interest rates were going to jump is that in 2018, we did the same exact thing. We had a 0.5 point cut, and the interest rates jumped up really fast, and nobody expected it. And the reason why, the bankers didn't like that the Fed cut the rate so much, because they felt that was showing that the economy was having problems.
Okay, I'll bow to your better knowledge on that. It definitely is not my forte.
Yeah, so what they were saying is the bankers are like, we want the higher interest rates because we want better qualified buyers in case the economy goes worse in the future. Because if they did a quarter rate cut, they probably would have been okay with it. But the half rate, that made them a little alarmist, right? And then they didn't slow down. And then we had a couple quarter point cuts, but the bankers didn't care. They were holding the rates high.
Well, I don't think you're going to need to worry about those for a little bit.
Yeah, the rate cuts we're probably not going to have to worry about for a little bit. You're right. Now,
like a year,
but
right? I mean, Powell's in for another year.
Well,
We'll
who
see.
knows?
Right?
Who knows?
Well, I don't think. I don't
Who
think
knows?
executive power to remove him exists. I don't think that's a
I
thing.
don't know if that's really going to be a problem.
Yeah. So,
But he's there for another year, right? I mean,
theoretically.
yeah,
theoretically,
yes,
yeah.
he's supposed to be there another year,
Yeah.
and he says he's not stepping down. So
Sure.
frankly, I don't like the idea of any president controlling the Fed. I don't like that
I don't
idea
think
at all.
anybody should like that.
Yeah, it's too political. You got the politics mixed in with the economy. It gets too much. That's not a good thing. You got to have separation there, I think, and
Little
that's
bit.
why it was created that way. It was created that way on purpose.
Well,
Right?
yeah, because you can do little things to just get reelected, and who cares about the future? The Fed
Right.
needs to be more
Right.
focused on longer term versus can I get reelected in 4 years? That because you can do things to make it like, oh, we're cooking, and it's just screwing 10 years from now.
I agree. I'd like to see more checks and balance. I believe in checks and balances in our Constitution across the board.
Sure.
You know, that's what's made our country
Our
so
forefathers
strong.
believed in that too.
Yeah.
so.
What, but I think regardless, I don't disagree with anything you just said, but it's all about inflation, right?
Yes.
And we've had
Yeah.
3 months of increased inflation. I don't see anything to make me think that it's going to level out or go down anytime soon. It looks to me like it's going to keep going.
At our rate of spending, and then you incorporate anything else that may cook it, like a tariff, for instance, it's just a low hanging fruit. I'm with you. There's things that are lining up to where we're not going to escape it as easily as maybe possible.
And all that's on my radar too. Just to be fair, on the flip side, you know, you look at the big picture, right? We still don't have any massive unemployment. To me, that's going to be the big thing.
Big
I've been
hour
saying
cutting,
that
though.
for years now.
Big hour cutting, though. I'll tell you, anywhere you go, you're like, where is the staff? You even hear it at Publix now. So Publix is like built on shopping is a pleasure. You don't bag your own groceries at Publix. It's happening more and more now. And you're like, man, everybody's just cutting hours, but they're maximizing profits. I mean, that's the reality. Nobody's losing money
in Vegas,
except for the employees.
In Vegas, I was reading about how they don't have people to book you into your room, and when you get to these hotels, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people standing around waiting with 2 people checking everybody into the place. Now, yes, you could do the electronic online booking, but most people don't. And you know, I was watching.
Don't you still need to get a key?
You could do that with the electronic booking now. Supposedly, you can go to the kiosk and they
They'll probably spit
download
out
it
an
to your
ATM card.
Oh, it
an
just spits it
ATM
out.
card or
Oh.
an app in your phone or something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
But the thing is, you know, I was watching a vlog about this, about the problems out there, because it's very interesting what's happening out there. Vegas has become super expensive. You know, that was always a place where you went there and you felt like you get value for your money.
And they'd always send you promos and things.
Yeah, but now it's super expensive over there. And down in downtown Fremont, you could pay $18 for a can of beer. For a can of beer.
You can.
Right?
I'm not spending
But-
that. I'm smuggling a flask in and getting the code somewhere.
My man.
Oh, on the vlog, what the guy did, he had a backpack. He put a plastic bag in there, put ice in it,
Yeah,
and carried around his own cocktails in his backpack.
I'm
And
too
he-
cheap.
Nice freezing
There's
cold.
no way I could pay.
But
18 for
it's really expensive, and what's happening is they're breaking records for revenues for the amount of money being collected out there because they're doing these resort fees and parking fees and everything else. But they're making less profit than they've seen in 8 years.
Huh.
So they're making more money, but the profits they're making are less.
That's interesting.
And as they've been raising the rates, people are still coming, but they're making less money. So I don't even understand what's going on with that. But
Economics major, I am not. That doesn't make any sense.
it's kind of weird what's happening now. Fremont Street, they're offering way better discounts and stuff, which is traditional.
They always do.
But
yeah.
now they're doing better than the Strip now, profitability wise.
Well, the overhead on those strip hotels is just got to be insane. You know, the casinos, you print money, but good Lord, I mean, they're incredible.
I always wonder just what's the electric bill?
Right.
I know.
What's the
Right?
water bill?
Yeah.
Just for a month. Just what
I
is it?
know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Operating
So,
costs.
So with the economy, I really feel like it's going to be a super, lots of wild swings this year is what I expected to see. Right. I think that the biggest thing that people should keep an eye on, of course, things are going to cost more money. I think that's just going to be part of what we're going to go through right now. And but unemployment to me is really going to be the big indicator as to whether we can hold tight and get through this inflationary period if we have another one, right? If we're going through another cycle of super inflation like we just went through, if we're going through it again, as long as everybody stays employed, we'll be okay. But we don't know. And like one of the bigger companies, and I can't remember what it was, a big nationwide company, they're laying off 25% of their personnel. Now that was like, when I read that headline.
It's the federal government.
No. Yeah, that too. But there was some big company that's going to lay off 25, but they said it's going to happen over like 3 years or something. So it isn't going to be like tomorrow they're laying off 25% of the workforce. So we got to keep an eye on inflation, on unemployment. But AJ, you've been you're showing some of these charts that you created about what just local examples in different neighborhoods and stuff as to what you see happening. One of the things I'm seeing as a realtor is I'm seeing a lot more price reductions on the MLS, but the MLS isn't reporting that prices are really dropping, and I don't understand the disconnect between that.
Well, I think if you look at these graphs, that top line is the list price levels. The list prices aren't really dropping that much because maybe that listing started too high, because these are median values that I'm looking at, right? So it's more of averages, medians, the overall. So I think the price reductions you're seeing, let's take Sandalwood. I love Sandalwood because there's so many of them, and there's always a lot of sales, and there's always a lot of actives. They're all the same model.
Just because we have a big listener area, just describe Sandalwood really quick.
So Sandalwood is these Devasta-built quadplexes that you always see, the 2-story. Some people call them like the mushroom house, where it's got the eaves overhanging. The one I'm talking about in particular, there's a bunch of them. They're all over the state, actually.
Yeah.
But the one I'm talking about is just south of North Lake, right?
And Military, roughly, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like right. It's I forget the name of the road right now, but it's just west
of
North
Lake of Military,
just
basically.
west of 95. And there's maybe 5 different neighborhoods in there, but they're all the same thing. They're all the same size and all that. So I like them because there's a lot of volume of data and consistent data. So what I'm seeing in there, it's a good canary in the coal mine for what's happening. It's also affordable. It's affordable housing.
Right.
It's not $500,000-$600,000.
These users are going, like, if they're really dumps, they're going like $295, and if they're good, they're going up to what, like $375.
There's definitely some in the threes. I saw I'd say the lows in there are like in the mid to high 2s.
Right.
It's got to be pretty dumpy to be in the mid 2s.
Yes.
And yeah, I as far as the highs, there's always,
I think
there's
it's
always
like 385 is, I mean, not the highest, but
there's always
the higher
people
end
that go crazy in there too.
Yeah.
You've got the dumpy ones that look like 1980, and then you've got the ones that are like just decked out. I've seen some incredible ones.
Yeah, me too.
But with that much volume, you get to see patterns. So for them, their list prices really haven't moved much at all. The list prices. So I came in here March of last year, and I ran the same data, and I did it for the year before, and then I did it yesterday. So the median list price 2 years ago was 307, last year was 312, and now it's 300. So it's but that's a median. So like you just said, there's some that are dumpier, there's some that are nicer. The overall trend, even on the sales, so it was 289 2 years ago, then it was 295 last year, and now it's 285. So it went up a little bit over the last year and then came back down. But at the end of the day, it's not far off from what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we're only talking $5,000, right? 289 to 285.
We haven't seen like real true volatility up or down, but it was going up since what, March, April, May of 2023. And then that was kind of the last gasp. The year before that, it just ramped up the whole time.
Right.
But then since then, we've been pretty stable. So the list prices aren't overall dropping, but I think a market right now is where you have a really good opportunity to find. So right now there's 53 actives in that neighborhood. 5 of those are going to be really good deals.
Right. You're right.
You know what I mean? And they're the ones that have to move. They're the ones that inherited it. They're the ones that do not need that property for some reason, and they just want to get out of it. And so there's opportunities for those really good deals, but it's not like the whole market's gone down either. If you have one listed there, you leave it up for 60 or 90 days, eventually you're going to get a buyer as long as you're priced relatively in line with everybody else.
Right.
You know, but if you're $5,000 high, nobody's going to come and look at you at all.
And that's the part that sellers don't get right now. It's very price sensitive, and sellers have the attitude all the time. If I'm a little off on the price, they'll come and look anyway, and they'll just make a lower offer.
Not when there's 50 of them for sale.
Right, exactly. It's like, no, you make it sound like it's easy to get them to your house, right? You're just assuming they're coming. They might not even get in the car, because if they got 50 offers and they don't see value in yours, they're not going to look at all 50. They're going to look at their top
maybe 10,
5,
maybe 5.
Right?
Yeah.
And then go back again if they don't find it after the top 5. So if you're not in that top 5, right, or 10, if you're not in the top, they're not even going to get in the car to look. Right.
And that's not to say if you have one that's real nice, you can still be listed at 350 and people will come and look, but you can't be dumpy and listed 300, because there's going to be 5 or 10 that are going to be priced lower than that are just the same.
We went out last week looking with Michael and Risa. We went out last week and looked at a whole bunch of those units, including in Sandalwood, right? And Sandalwood is one of the areas I told them about when we got in the car, because I knew price point where they were. They need to be FHA, so townhome versus condo, right?
Yeah.
So with FHA, you could buy a townhome, but it's much harder. You can't use FHA to buy the condo in general. So we knew we were looking for townhomes, because single family home, they were just out of budget for that. But we went into Sandalwood. We saw a couple of them, but most of the ones we looked at last week, they weren't fixed up enough for the prices that they were asking for.
And that's what I'm saying,
And they didn't know any better, so they saw one or two that they were like, I kind of like that one, and I'm like, you could do way better than this. Let's just hold tight. Keep your powder dry, because we could do way better than what you like right now.
Right. That's when you grind down and say, okay, this is the one you like. I'm going to show you 5 more.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then they're all going to be a better deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as a seller, if you don't do it right and you miss the mark, you could really be off. I mean, you could really be off, and it can be a mistake that can hurt you, because if you don't correct in time, then you're just going to look stale. And no matter what you put it at for, they're just never going to give you what you want.
Right. And at some point, I used to call it catching a falling knife. Like when the market was falling apart back in 07, 08, it was so hard to appraise it, because 2 weeks later, everybody's dropped again, because there's those bottom 5 people that are desperate. They're all watching each other's listings, right? I'm priced just under him, and then that guy drops another $1,000, and you drop $2,000, and that one drops $2,000, and it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah. It's really so the market. It isn't a horrible market. It's just not an on fire market. So if you do things right, you should expect a normal experience. We're not in a crisis market or something, but you have to do it the right way. It was easy for the sellers to be sloppy, if you will, for a very long time. And what I mean as sloppy is, well, I'll put it on the market for wherever I feel like I want. And they would still get action anyway, because there was no inventory. So people were forced to come look at your house because they had nothing else to look at.
Well, look at the Sandalwood from 2 years ago, 18 listings, 18.
Right. Yeah.
And now there's 53.
Yeah. 3 times the amount.
So if you're a seller, you got to recognize that. Yeah, it's triple.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the sales volume during that time has dropped off big time.
Oh, wow. Yes. It was 97 in 2023. There were 97 units sold. And now we're down to 81.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a significant drop. That's
and it's
a 12%, 13% drop.
But when you match that with the inventory, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That becomes, those 2 divergent graph lines, right? Where you're like, this plus this equals problem.
Another thing I see with the sellers, and it's very disappointing to the buyers, is that there's a lot of sellers out there that look at what other people sold for in the neighborhood and don't, like in the Sandalwood, they're all the same kind of units. So you don't have to worry that, oh, my house is bigger than your house. Or what it comes down to is deferred maintenance issues or not?
Yeah.
Do I have the newer kitchen, and do I have a newer bathroom, and how's my flooring and paint? And is everything in a good working order? And you'd be surprised at how many units we looked at last week, and probably going to look at some today, that the people just aren't putting any effort into selling the house. There's no effort whatsoever to make their house sellable. And I always equate it to like when you sell a car. When is the second cleanest day your car is ever going to be, right?
Yeah.
It's the day you're selling it, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the second cleanest it's ever been, right?
Yeah.
Other than when you bought it. And why do you do that? Why do you go get it detailed? And why do you like do all this stuff? And you've been driving around and throwing the soda cans in the back seat for 3 years or whatever, right? Or whatever, right? And now all of a sudden it has to look perfect because you're going to make extra money, of course, right? But how much extra money are you going to make on the car compared to doing the same thing with your house? You make so much more money by taking the time to fix up the house. So the house doesn't have to be brand new everything in order to sell it okay. But if you don't have brand new everything in the deferred maintenance, then put the elbow grease in to make sure that it's organized and decluttered and super squeaky clean.
Smells nice.
And that the lights work and the doors when you open and close them, like when the customers come in and they open up the bifold door and the door falls off the hinge, right? You know, it falls off the track and they're trying to put the door back because they're embarrassed your door isn't working right. You know, all those things take away from the ability to either get the offer or an offer that you're looking for. Right. So don't be lazy if you're a seller in today's market. Don't be lazy.
Well, that's
because it's going to burn you.
People ask me all the time, okay, so I'm getting ready to sell my place. You know, should I put in a new kitchen? Should I put in new floors? And what I always tell them is that, you know, people always want to make their home grandiose right at the end, right?
Yeah.
And it's not about that. Right. I always tell them, you've got to walk around and every single negative thing you see, you've got to remove. If you've got some marks on the wall, make sure it's painted. If you've got, you know, a section of popcorn that's not, it's like exactly what you were just saying, Jim. It's all, you just don't, every one of those little negative items, they add up. And by the time they leave, it's like, oh, that house with all the problems, you know, take those problems away. That's more important than having granite counters versus Formica. You know, it's you just don't want 5-6 negative things. Just take away as many of them as you can.
Can I ask you, because this happens all the time, and you've answered this before in the air, but I always like bringing it up when you're here, kind of like I ask same questions to Ross all the time because they don't always hear it. You know, other people who are listening haven't heard it before. Okay, so I got a house that it's a 2003 house, right? And I decide that everything else is 2003. The roof's okay, AC's okay and everything, but it's 2003-ish house, okay? Although it's in really great condition, okay? And then they go ahead and they put a kitchen in, right? And the kitchen, they spend $50,000 for the kitchen. So then you go down and you sit down with the family that's selling it and you say, okay, well, here are the price ranges of what people have for your size of your model in your neighborhood. And they go, yeah, but I've got the $50,000 kitchen that the other people don't have.
Right.
So then they want to raise their price approximately $50,000. Does that work that way in appraisals?
Well, no, because they took out a $20,000 kitchen, first of all. That's right off the bat. You
explain that part, because that's what people don't get.
It all has to do with
they took out a $20,000 kitchen.
There's useful remaining life to what you're taking away. So obviously it's not worth anything once it's thrown out on the street, but while it's sitting there in your kitchen, it's that cabinetry, everything still has some value. So you're not necessarily going to get, you know, the dollar for dollar. And the other thing is, just like putting in new, you know, if everyone else in your neighborhood has Formica, maybe you should have Formica too, and not put in granite and spend that extra few thousand, because your market doesn't support. People are only going to spend so much because they only have so much money in that particular submarket. And yes, it would be better to have a pool. It would be better to have crown trim everywhere. It would be better to have a lot of things. But at the end of the day, you make your home unaffordable by having it over improved.
Exactly. So when people start doing that, like they have like owner's remorse. Oh, now that I'm selling it, I got to do all the things that I always said I was going to do that I never did before. I call owner's remorse, right? And it's like, don't fall into that trap, because you're not going to make all that money. Look, you enjoyed the house for the time you had it. We're going to sell it as it is. Most of the time, I This is my statement to them. Once in a while, I'll say, yeah, you need to do this or that. But, sell it as it is, but make it squeaky clean and make it really easy and fun and presentable for people to come and have a good experience.
Just take away the negatives.
Yeah. We're going to take a break, and then on the flip side, we are going to talk about tips on what to do when your house is being appraised. We had 3 appraisals this week, so I thought this would be a good time to talk a little bit about that with AJ, experiencedappraisers.com. And then we're also going to go talk to Ross about some insurance stuff. But you know what we're not going to talk about, Johnny?
What are we not talking about?
We're not going to talk about politics, because all of a sudden the feed is starting for the first time in years and years, the feed is starting to talk about politics on the show.
Boy.
So everybody listening right now, we love you listening, like and share it, but we're not a politics show, and you're not going to hear us talking about red and blue. Now, they're all upset about what we were talking about, the economy. We're not on either side, at least for this show. We might have personal opinions off air, but what we're talking about is what's happening with the economy right now based on the statistics that are available to everybody to analyze. And all we're doing is talking about what our thoughts of those statistics are, what might happen in the future. You may have different opinions, and that's okay. We love that, okay, because we are not the arbiters of what's going to happen in the future, but we are not going to go down the rabbit hole of politics on this show.
You sure you don't want to hop on there for the next 5 minutes and argue with everybody?
13 years we haven't done it. We're not going to start now.
Nice. Well said. We will focus on the things that there is an expertise involved with. And of course, that is everything that touches the world of real estate and all the numbers, and it all matters. And of course, if you're looking for a team of pros, we got it for you. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You got them on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you for being there. We appreciate you. And of course, being involved. And of course, if you'd like to be more involved, you're welcome to join the program. Toll free 877-927-6969. Jimothy will line you up. It's a 4-minute reset. We get back. Tons more to get involved with. That's another hour remaining on this Saturday, February 15th. Florida Talk Real Estate. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Right here on Real Radio.
You're listening to Real Radio. Available everywhere you want to listen. Yeah, even there. On our free iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
There it is, 877-927-6969. If you dial it up, Jimothy, our producer extraordinaire, he'll be the one to answer. What's up, my dude?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you. Johnny C., that's me. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, I totally understand. Always remember floridatalkrealestate.com. That is your resource for the entire team. Pros, you get them all at floridatalkrealestate.com. You even have a hotline there. If you like picking up the phone, just not calling the radio station, dial it up, 888-973-7828. You'll get a live body answering that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That hotline again at floridatalkrealestate.com. Also, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook and YouTube. We live stream every Saturday. Thanks for being with us, y'all. Johnny C., that's me. Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. He's also on the screen if you're looking. He's right there. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Look at that handsome.
You feel like everybody's looking at you?
Yeah, quit looking.
AJ Hollman's with us on a Saturday as well. ExperienceAppraisers.com. How are you, AJ?
I'm doing fantastic today, sir.
Love to hear that on a beautiful Saturday.
Looks nice
in South Florida. Yeah, we're gonna go do I think we're gonna do a little river cruise today.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Jupiter.
Jonathan Dixon wouldn't be considered.
Yeah.
You'd consider that Jupiter?
Yeah,
I thought that was more Martin County, but
it a little bit north of that is Martin. Some of it's in Martin, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah,
most of it's in Jupiter.
Exactly right. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Awesome.
Pretty excited about it. We are going to take care of our head too, by the way. If anybody was curious,
there are alligators at the headwaters there. So
and anacondas.
And we're going. Where are we? We're going to do the hammock trail tomorrow. And I think we've done it before, but they're all there's feral pigs. We're like,
yeah,
sweet,
nice,
lunch.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I was out like in the back side. You can go from Riverbend Park and go all the way. The Florida Trail goes all the way through it.
All the way through.
And I was in the backside of that area one day, and you could smell it. And I'm like, what is that? And then I came around the corner, and there's a big old hog sitting there, and they got those tusks that you don't want to mess with them. And I was just kind of running. I didn't, I had a water pack. That's it. And I just kind of saw it, and I just went around, and there's no tree. I was like, do I have to climb a tree if this thing gets me? But I just kind of went around and waited for it to go. But you could smell it.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, you could smell it.
Super musky.
Yeah.
It's funny, people say that it often get mistaken for bears. Was it that big? They say people think it's a black bear sometimes.
I mean, it was from me to where that hallway is, so I could definitely I could see it.
Yeah, it's definitely a pig, but good size one.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah.
Did it pay you no mind?
I don't know if it saw me or anything. I just kind of, as soon as
he thought Ross smelled really musky. And he's like, "What the heck's going on over here?"
I saw that and kind of, was like, "All right, I need to back away real quick. I don't want that thing turning around."
No doubt. You didn't have a stick or nothing.
No stick.
No. Jimmy D's with us. He's our fearless leader. 13 plus years now. I told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team Keller Williams Innovations, you find the Florida Home Pros team. Jim DePola, how you be?
Thank you so much. I'm doing good. Beautiful day out. Looking forward to helping people. And don't forget about the open house today, 1030 Sugar Sands Boulevard from 11 to 2. Chris Peterson's from Keller Williams Innovation is going to be there showcasing the property. It's a beautiful 2-2 condo on Singer Island, 1030 Sugar Sands Boulevard. It also has a 22 a boat dock that could fit a 22-foot boat. So please check it out. Only $559. Actually, excellent deal. 55 and over community. There's no gate, so you just drive in the community, go all the way to the end where you see the water, and Chris will be on your right down there. So
Awesome.
Check it out. Wanted to go into a little bit about appraisals, AJ. So I had a very bad experience for the first time in a while. This is about a month ago, and I had a house in Port St. Lucie, and the appraisal came in $23,000 below what our contracted price was, and that was a little over 5%. It was like 6% off of where we were on the list on the contracted price. And I really felt like the house was worth, if not exactly what we had it for, very close, like maybe 1% off, maybe, right? And the appraiser, what I found very interesting, this was the house in Port St. Lucie. The appraiser went 5 miles out of this neighborhood to find houses that were, quote, similar to our house, when there were houses that were 1.25 miles away that were just as similar as those other houses. But he chose the other ones instead of ours. I went to AJ just to ask him advice, not professional like with the appraiser license thing, but just from his expertise as being in real estate for a long time, and ask him what he thought. He gave me some tips and things, but he also said, I don't think you're going to win. I mean,
I pulled the same comps you did, though, right? Yep. I mean, most of them, we didn't talk about addresses. I sent you some addresses and said, these look like the ones to me. And you said, yeah, I had some of those.
Yeah. And what I really felt with that one, AJ, and we lost. Okay, we lost that one.
Shock.
So my seller backed out of the contract, and then we put it back on the market, and the house closed a week ago. So everything went okay because we were only on the market 8 days on the first offer, and then we had to wait like 2.5 weeks. When the appraisal didn't go through, we had to put it back on the market. I think we waited 5 days and got the offer that he accepted, and everything was okay.
Good.
We got a second appraisal on that house.
Right.
The dang agent won't give me the price or the appraisal because I want that appraisal. The deal's closed. I kept saying to her, the deal's closed.
Right.
What do you care? Just give me the report because I figure I want to use it for the show.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say, here's the old appraisal, the first one, and this is what the second one did. And I just want to show you that it's an art, not a science with appraisers.
I just got a call yesterday. I'm going to go to appraise a house next week. They've had 2 appraisers out there. I don't know exactly what it's worth, but let's say about $1 million. Mm-hmm. The 2 appraisals are $200,000 apart.
Ooh, 20%.
20%.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot. So this is what I wanted to ask you. When that guy came to the house that day, I had a really bad feeling. Now, I close a lot of deals and I meet with a lot of appraisers. So I'm used to, working with them, and everybody has a different personality. No big deal. But I could usually tell when I'm going to have a problem.
When you're really screwed, you usually know it when you meet them.
Yeah, and the thing is the first way it started off, I introduced myself, and I try to be a little bit arm's length because I know I'm kind of a chatty Cathy, so I try to be quiet at first and just say, hey, how's it going, and see if they want to talk to me. If they don't, I'd be very professional. Hey, I have a list of upgrades, and that's the way it was in this one. He didn't want to talk. He just wanted to do his job. So I said, hey, would you mind if I give you a list of upgrades on the house? Now, my seller had put in a brand new AC and brand new ductwork in the attic 3 months before, new water heater, new garage door, brand new garage door, hurricane impact, and a couple other upgrades, right? A lot of electrical upgrades. And for the first time, or one of the few times, he actually said, no, I don't want the upgrades.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I didn't even know how to handle it because he was so cranky. He was so cranky about it. I'm like, oh, this is going to, I'm thinking in my head, this is going to go really bad. And I'm a little mad at this point because I'm like, why wouldn't you want the upgrades, right? Why wouldn't you want to know extra stuff you don't know about the house?
You set yourself up by asking him the question. What you should have said is, here is.
I'm going to use that from now on.
Because when you ask, you're giving him the opportunity to say no.
Something. Thank you. I just learned. I'm going to do that from now on. So he said no. I paused and I said, look, I totally understand that you're a professional and you know how to do your job, but some of these upgrades you won't know. Like there's brand new ductwork in the attic. The whole house has brand new ductwork, right? Plus the new AC, which he would have saw the new AC. So he was like, fine, give it to me, with an attitude, right? Then I said, because I feel like I have to ask, because until they tell me no, I'm not going to just assume it's no. I said, hey, would you like the comps I have for the house?
Asked him again.
And he said, no way, right? He was like, no, I know how to do my job. This is cookie cutter. He goes, this is a cookie cutter appraisal. I've done hundreds of these, right? I'm like, okay. And I knew we were going to have a problem, right? I just did not feel good. Then when we disputed it, he actually put a note in it's called reconsideration evaluation, right?
Yep.
But that's really saying, hey, I don't think you did your job right. That's what they should call that report, right? Hey, I don't think you did your job right. He responded back to my comps, rejected every single one, wouldn't consider any of them, and then wrote, he goes, the biggest problem you had was that you raised the price, you raised the list price, and then agreed to taking back seller contributions. So in this case, I can use real numbers now. We had the house on the market for $425. Buyer came in at $425 but wanted $15 back. My buyer wanted to close at $410 or higher. This would only get him $15 back. This would only get him. No, he wanted $410.
You gave him
concessions. He wanted $415. He wanted $415, not $410. He was only getting $410. He wanted $415. So he says, why don't we raise the price to $430 and I'll still give you back the $15. So even though the list price said $425, we took $430. Then we gave $15 back. That appraiser did not like that.
You only went up $5,000 over the list price, and you went under contract in 8 days, right?
Yes, twice.
Because
only one time that time.
But that's a critical part of this because. Sorry, if you want to keep asking me questions.
No, please.
So the point of that is, if I'm looking at the value and it looks like it's going to be low compared to the contract price, and I see that there's seller concessions, I'm not going to worry about coming in low as much because, in my opinion, many times that is what we call fake money. Okay.
Yep. So they're kind of getting the lower price in your mind.
I mean, it's common sense, right? I mean, it's 2 + 2 = 4. It's not too hard to, but the fact that you weren't on market for that long, I think the argument there is, listen, we listed it below market to result in a fast sale. We brought it up a little bit closer to market because they wanted some concessions to put in there. That can make sense to me. That's an argument that I can understand, At the end of the day, none of this should matter anyway, because the value is what the value is, regardless of what your contract says. It really shouldn't matter. But we're still human beings, and it really shouldn't matter if I come in low either. But if I do come in low, everybody's going to freak out, and that's fine. Sometimes you have to do that. I've come in really low sometimes, not often, but if it's valid, that's what I do. So in the way I would have handled, or let's say a possible way to handle this situation in the future, I definitely writing down the upgrades, fabulous idea, the year that everything was replaced. If when the water heater, the AC, the appliances, the kitchen flooring, baths, last time they were remodeled, maybe what the material is for the flooring. You know how hard that is for me to figure out sometimes? Whether it's engineered wood or it's tile or it's synthetic or it's real wood or it's, there's too many variables now. And I used to just go down on my hands and knees and hit it with a quarter.
Right. To see,
and I could usually tell that way, but there's too many new materials now.
Yeah, there are.
So if it'd be nice if the flooring in 2015, we did new engineered wood flooring and, just little things like that. But having that list, I love that, and then comps, having a list of comps, sure, but as opposed to asking him or anything, if what I do is if I'm meeting an appraiser for a seller or for somebody, in this situation, I want to have a folder that if the guy is being standoffish or seems like he might be a jerk or not really receptive, I want to be able to just hand him a folder and say, hey, I know you know what you're doing. There's some notes in there for you. And that's it, and he can choose to look at it or not. He's probably gonna, even if he got offended at the moment when he's sitting back and typing up the file, he's going to pull it out and at least look at what you said.
Right.
So in that would be where to put that cover letter to say, hey, I know that we're over, just acknowledge it, explain why, if it's a good reason. Because what's annoying is the fact that they raised the list price in MLS after they're under contract.
Right.
I see that.
Right.
Now I have to discuss that in my report.
I didn't do that in this case.
Okay.
We had it at 425 list, but the contract was
430. Well, a lot of realtors will go back in and raise it.
I was wondering if I should use that technique.
I mean, you can. Personally, it annoys me because now
you know if it happened.
I'm going to look at the history. Sure.
Yes. You're going to know if you did that. That's why I don't do it. What we're talking about in case we lost people. Let's say you have the house in market 425, but you're going to take 430 with the buyer. The buyer comes, you're doing 430. So the realtor will go back into the MLS and change the list price to 430. Right. To match what they're selling it for.
But I've got the contract in front of me. I can see the date that everybody signed it. I've got the MLS history. I can see the date that you changed the price. There was no other reason that you did that except for me to see it. And that's annoying.
And that's why I don't do it. I usually don't do it because to me it's kind of a moot point, and it actually makes you look weaker in my mind because that makes you look like you're worried.
And you have to, you as an appraiser, you literally have to document that in the report. It's required. So I have to say, the property was listed on this date, and then this is what happened to the price. And, so not only am I going to see it, the underwriter's going to see it. Everybody involved with this file now is going to see it.
So let me ask you about this. We had a what happened? Like, is there anything that sellers can do? I shouldn't say seller. Let's say homeowner, because sometimes you're doing a refi, right? And when you're doing a refi, you're going to have an appraisal too. So, and in that case, you don't even have a realtor to help guide you about anything because you're just doing it directly with the mortgage company, and they're bringing out some stranger to your house. So you don't know what's going on. So what kind of tips can you give to a homeowner that knows that they have an appraiser coming? What would be like good practices for people so that they can have the best results possible?
Well, especially for the refi, because hopefully if you had the home listed, you took care of things like worn paint finishes on any wood, like the fascia, or, all those negatives that we talked about, right? So if you're getting a refi, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, number one, if it's a pre-1978 house and there's worn paint finishes on some exterior wood, it's actually going to be like a hard stop on the appraisal anyway. But so generally just fix up the negatives as much as you can. Maybe write up that list. That we really love that list, because look, I can tell.
Not we really love that list. Apparently, apparently there is one person who really does not like that list.
We minus one.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I was speaking in the royal we. That was my bad. So yeah, because the whole thing is I can tell that the kitchen's been updated maybe in the last 5 years, but I don't know that it was 3 years ago or 8 years ago or 6 years ago. So having that information there is nice. The water heater and the AC, I'm getting older. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. It would be nice to, if it says 2006 and I look and it looks like a 2006, I'm probably going to go with that. Depending on the city, you can use public record and permitting, and I do try to look at that as well. But so a nice list, fixing the negatives, especially exterior paint surfaces. If anybody wants to go to my website, there's a full list of the things that are most commonly going to be a problem for your appraisal.
That's pretty cool. What page is that on your website? Experienceappraisers.com.
Yeah.
Right.
Experienceappraisers.com. It's probably in the frequently asked questions. I have like 70 or 80 of them in there.
Interesting. Okay.
But and I know what they are off the top of my head. It's wood rot, it's peeling paint, it's water heaters that aren't hooked up correctly, open electrical wires. Those are all issues that are pretty easy to fix. So So there's that, taking away the negatives, making the list of the different things. The big one that will really help you, but is really hard, or maybe just doesn't happen that often. But if you know of appraisers want to use confirmable sales. And the way we usually do that is MLS, because it's got all the data there, and we can call and interview realtors, uninterested third party after the fact. So it's a good, reliable source. But sometimes you know of a sale that one of your neighbors sold to somebody and they got a good price. First of all, that might not record for several weeks. Second of all, even if the appraiser knows about it, it's not confirmable if he can't talk to somebody about it. Because I've had situations where the bank said, why didn't you use the sale? And I research it and find out they traded a flat in France as part of the deal. So you don't want to get nipped by something like that you didn't expect. So if you, as a homeowner, you know of a sale that's like an insider transaction, and you can get me the phone number of the buyer or seller, hey, this sold, it sold for this much on this date, maybe get a copy of the contract or something. I've had people do that before. That's helpful. If you have any kind of a weird lot, or I'm trying to list my parents' property up in Georgia right now.
Right.
It's 40 acres. The legal description for this property, and people in real estate will know what I'm talking about, is 3/4 of a page long. It's like you stand over here and you walk down the creek, and then you go up to this ridge line. And so a survey is great, but a new survey for my parents' place is $3,000. And they have one that's 50 years old probably, but it's still good to have. I'm still going to hand that to the appraiser whenever it comes out there. So surveys can be good if you have any kind of a weird lot. FHA best practices is for the appraiser to ask for one anyway. You don't always have one, but if you have one available, have a copy of that available for the appraiser. And mostly just try to stay out of his way. Don't talk politics, because you don't know his politics. I'm amazed how many times people just guess and just start rattling on to me. I don't want to hear that. Even if I'm on your side, I don't want to hear that. It's just like the radio show. We don't, that's not what we're doing here. Right. And, following you around while you're trying to take pictures of every room. I'm astonished how many people will do that 3 or 4 rooms in a row. After the second room that I asked you to move out of so I could take the photo, didn't that give you an idea that you shouldn't stand in every single room while I'm in there with you? Like, just things like that.
What about like, I was at a house recently where the people were in the throes of moving, right? So when I last saw the house, it was in great condition because they were selling it. It was, staged, and so the customers could come. But now that they're in contract, now they're in the throes. I got to move, and they got boxes everywhere, and it was a little, I wouldn't say overwhelming, but it didn't look like it did when the people came and turned in the offer. Right. It will when they pull everything out. Right. It isn't that they're hurting the house. It's just that it's cluttered right now. Yeah. Do appraisers, is it better to have all those boxes super organized like Martha Stewart, so when they come in, it's organized and stuff like that? Or if it's a little bit disarray?
Few things. Number one, 90% of the homes I go in, that's the situation. Okay. Because they're buying, or, they're selling, and they're in the middle of moving because it's under contract. So, I'm used to that, but I'm also a human being, and the closer you can have it look into a show condition, the better. If it smells nice and it's well lit and I have free roam of the house, I'm going to have a better feeling when I walk out of there than I will if there was a dog chewing on my leg and a kid screaming in my ear and the place smelled like curry or whatever. And, it was dark. Yep. And the biggest thing with the moving boxes and everything, I would say, not so much Martha Stewart, but make sure it's not blocking the view of the water heater or the air conditioner, or
the stairs, to pull down stairs to get in the attic,
for the garage.
Right? Yeah. You don't want to have stuff all cluttered around all that stuff, because it creates a headache for them, because they don't want to move your stuff.
No,
they're probably not going to, because they don't want to be responsible.
Because my luck, I'll break your 80-year-old vase or something.
So you got to make sure that you have access to the attic if it's in the garage with pull down stairs, that the stair can come down and not have any problem of being used. Water heater accessible, electrical panel accessible, and sometimes the air handler is in the garage.
And the
so
lawn.
Make sure all that stuff.
Cut the lawn.
Pull not green.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Right.
know, none of those things are critical, but it's all kind of like I was saying about taking away the negatives for a buyer. We're human beings at the end of the day. I like to think that I'm completely impartial and that none of those things would bother me. You know, and by the book, none of those things should be an issue for me as long as I have clear line of sight to see everything. But I am a person, you know, that there's no way to unring the bell. If I go in there and the place stinks the whole time I'm in there, or there's a kid screaming at me the whole time I'm in there, the dog's chewing on my leg, I'm gonna have more of a negative impression. That's just human nature.
It's almost the same as the buyer experience, right? When the buyers come into the house and they have that experience, they don't want to make the offer either. We went last week a couple of houses, and I'm thinking about them right now, where there were family members almost in every single room, right? So every room you went into, there were new family members there. So you didn't feel like you could look at anything for any length of time because there's people that are in the room and you feel like you're disturbing them, right? And they were in the kitchen and they were in the living room and they were in the dining room. And they were in every bedroom. And one of them was even in the bathroom, right? At one of the bathrooms. So literally, like any place we went, there were people there. They didn't clean up. There were stuff in the sink and there's stuff on the countertops and clothes in the living room that haven't been folded yet, you know, and it looked like that. And I'm like, really? You're selling the house?
Every single thing you just mentioned, as you mentioned it, I had flashbacks in my head of prior appraisals. Every single thing you just said.
Yep. So just remember that the appraiser, people think that once they get it under contract and they've gone through the inspection, it's kind of over some people. And that appraisal, if you have financing, that appraisal is just as important as the inspection.
Sure is.
And you got to make sure that you do the whole thing and get through the whole way. Don't get winded on the third corner, right? You still got to make it a home plate.
Don't hit the wall.
Yeah.
And it's highly subjective.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, so having a good experience for the person is really important. Just human nature, just like when you do with buyers. Thank you, AJ. Ross, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that happened in real life today, and I think that other people really get it. By the way, Ross, some of the stuff that you've been telling us recently, people are hearing it on the show, and I'm talking about it afterwards. You know what happened yesterday? We went to a house that had glass blocks. Remember, we were talking on the show a couple weeks ago that whether glass blocks need to have a storm protection or not.
Right.
So I saw the glass blocks on the windows, and I'm like, hey, are there any panels on those? Because I usually don't ask, right? And the realtor was like, I don't know if there are panels on those. I go, they're not hurricane, they're not hurricane rated, right? And of course, the agent didn't know, but there were accordion shutters on the house. He just didn't look. So we found out that it was protected. But now I have like glass block is in my head all the time now and all that. Because a lot of people...
Skylights.
Yeah.
Don't forget the skylight.
I know skylights. There's not a lot you can do with that though, really, unless you take them out, right?
Yeah, you got to replace them.
Yeah.
I heard that on the show. I heard that show when you guys were talking about that. I could have sworn that somebody that I saw somebody doing a 4-point one time that said, "Oh no, it's block, it's fine."
Well, it's interesting because the way I see them installed in the windows, like the way that they fit those glass blocks in the windows, I don't think they would meet hurricane impact code. But maybe there's a certain way to do it, and some of them are hurricane impact. But
I think they're stronger, the block itself. But you're right, like the way that it's fixed in there would be the important thing.
Little metal, like crimp things in there, and I just don't feel like that's going to be enough to take. What is it, 160 mile an hour wind or whatever? I don't even remember. But a hurricane wind, I don't know if it can take that. But here's a couple of questions that actually real life customers had. And I said, well, Ross is coming on the show, so let's ask Ross, okay? The first question is, let's say that a buyer is buying a property and we haven't done the inspection yet, but they want to get an idea of what the insurance policy will be, okay? Kind of like when we put a house on the market and you give us insurance quotes. How accurate are those quotes before we get the 4-point, the wind mitt, and all that?
We're gonna if you provide us with how old's the roof, right? That's going to be a big thing. And then if you can tell us. If you want to say, hey, it's got shutters or impact glass if you want us to take your word for that, we can and quote it that way. Depending on the carrier might have an insurance score. So if I don't have the client's actual information, it may not be accurate, but most of the time, depending on the age of the roof, if we have that information, it's going to be pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. Unless, we are quoting it with a carrier that has an insurance score, and for whatever reason, that person has a horrible insurance score, that could change it. But for the most part, we see so many wind mitigation reports, every single day that they all look pretty similar. They're all pretty similar. So we quote with what we normally see, unless you say, hey, it's got shutters or impact glass, then we will quote it with that. Now, it's not our fault if it comes the wind, if there is one window or there's something, a skylight or a glass block or something, glass in the garage door, that somebody didn't think about. Now that could change it. But for the most part, we're going to be pretty accurate. And anything on the 4-point is going to be something that's probably pretty glaring, that you guys would already notice that, and if it's not, it'll be something small that's probably fixable.
So here's one that might be a real life example. There was a house I looked at yesterday or maybe a couple of days ago. It definitely had impact glass everywhere or accordion shutters or panels, right? They had a little bit of mix. But the house was built in 1998, but the garage door was original. There was no glass on the door. Well, 1998 garage door if you have everything else protected and there's no skylights and all the other coverings are protected, will a 1998 garage door give you full coverage?
Yeah. So in Palm Beach County and north, once you get into Broward and Dade, it gets a little bit more restrictive, but as long as all of the they call it glazed openings, which is just going to be glass, windows, windows. As long as all of the windows that are exposed to the outside are either impact rated or protected by an impact rated device, it's going to qualify. So it doesn't matter about the garage door. It doesn't matter about your front door, your side door. As long as those don't have like a little decorative window or something in there, then as long as all the glass is covered, then you're good.
What about if another customer, they live in Broward County, they have a 1973 house. It's got a new roof. It's got hurricane protection everywhere, including everything, right? And they have Heritage Insurance right now. They're not with Citizens. What are the chances that the new owners will not be using Citizens when they buy the house? A 1973 new roof, complete hurricane protection.
In Broward, I don't know, because we're seeing some other carriers really expand and open up, and we are seeing rates come down too with the private carriers. So
there might be opportunities.
There's probably a better chance that Citizens is going to be the most competitive than another carrier, but they will get other carriers that will return a premium.
Now I'm going to ask a Jim question. Okay, this has popped into my head. So let's say that I could get a regular for-profit insurance policy, and I can get Citizens, and let's say the coverage is the same, but the private company is more than Citizens, okay? And let's say I have a choice to do either. Is there any benefit of not using Citizens because it's, if it's cheaper, you want to go for the cheaper policy usually? Is there any reason why you would want to go to the private company versus Citizens if Citizens was cheaper and it was available for you?
I mean, I would be fine with Citizens. I mean, the only difference is really with Citizens is you like I said, you can't make the policy any better. So if things like water backup and sump overflow or equipment breakdown coverage or personal injury or increasing your mold coverage, things that you can do with private carrier policies, you can't do with Citizens. So if you're just good with, hey, I just got my standard coverage, then there's not going to be really any deficiency. Now, on older homes, most private carriers are only going to limit your water damage to 10,000.
Right.
And it's
usually way more.
And you can't even increase it, right? Citizens will give you the option for full water damage as long as if during the claim you used one of their approved contractors. Otherwise, they're only going to limit it to 10,000 as well. So that's kind of one of the benefits. I would say a benefit of going with Citizens, because at least you do get the opportunity for full water damage. Now, you do have to qualify there in order to be able to go with Citizens, right? Because we have to prove when we bind a policy with Citizens, we actually have to prove to Citizens on our end, outside of what we're doing with the customer, that Citizens was the cheapest carrier, or that the next best premium to Citizens for apples to apples coverage was greater than 20%.
20%, right.
Right. So we actually have to prove that to them every time we write a policy.
Which actually is in a way, I think, a good thing, because we're not trying to keep everybody on Citizens. In fact, we've shaved a lot of people off Citizens, a lot. Hundreds of thousands of people are off the Citizens rolls, and that's part of the good news I wanted to bring up.
And a lot of those people are saving money too, compared to what their Citizens renewal would be.
That's what I wanted to talk about right now. Newsweek, which is also Newsweek's a very Newsweek is not like the Newsweek when I grew up, right? It's very clickbaity now, and it's very negative.
I remember reading the actual magazine.
Yeah, me too, and it's so different now. And but anyway, they're usually very negative about insurance in Florida and California. They're just go nuts on that. But they've been writing some positive news stories about insurance in Florida, and this is one of them. And they're saying a 10th insurance company is now into the insurance market in Florida. We lost like 6 or 7, either went bankrupt or left a couple of years ago. Now we got 10 new companies that have come back into the market because of the rule changes that the Florida legislatures made about 2.5 years ago, I think.
December of 22.
Okay, December 22. So, because of that, we're seeing more people come in, and this new company that's coming in, hold on here 1 second. It is called Mangrove. It's approved to, maybe you've heard of this, Johnny, or not, but Russ, Mangrove is the name of the insurance company. But what they're doing is they're only insuring brand new construction from statewide or well-known statewide or national developers. That's all they're going to take is new construction. Yeah, well-known. That's how it's described in the thing. So I guess like the big companies that are all over, Coulter, Lennar, DR Horton, all that, Matt Amy.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say it. Is it Matt Amy? I always call it Matt Amy, but it's something Matt Amy.
Some of the carriers, when you are quoting new construction, do give you an option for what they call an accredited builder. And it's an accredited builder discount.
So like, remember Miles, Matt Miles from, I forget what the name of the inspection company.
My Safe Home Inspection.
Thank you. But now he's a GC now, and he was always a GC, but now he's doing it full time. He's doing great. Hey Matt, hope you're doing good. We talked to you a couple months ago. But Matt is building houses, right? So if he builds a house on a lot for you, and he builds it, they probably won't get the credit for that, right? Because
it's not like thousands of dollars of credit. It's just it could be $100 bucks or something.
Okay, okay. I was just wondering about that, but anyway, so there is good news on the insurance front. Now that being said, good news. I am putting it in quotes because people get mad, Ross, when I tell them that it's good news. Because what I say is like, hey, at least we're not going up anymore. Or before we were saying we're not going up as fast as we used to, right?
Or everybody's leaving.
Yeah, and now it's becoming more like we're actually seeing a little bit of price decreases from the year before, right?
I can tell you that. So when we quote, we just kind of, for an effective date, we have to have an effective date when the policy will be effective. And because you're constantly going in and out of that quote when people call and you're doing things, you don't make it effective the day you quoted it, because then you constantly have to update that date. So we're always just putting it like 30 days out. For that reason, and also, whatever the rate is today may not be 30 days from now, and that's probably when it's going to close, right? For the new purchase. For things that we quoted in December that are now kind of coming to fruition and getting to the closing table, I'm seeing the rates. The rate that I quoted in December might be $2,800, and the final rate based on a March closing date might be $2,600.
Yeah,
right.
That's great.
Yeah. So we're starting to see, premiums slowly start to come down a little bit of rate reduction. Like you said, we've got more carriers that are signing up to enter the marketplace. They haven't, written a new policy, so it looks like it is getting a little bit better. We're able to shop, and, year over year, most of the time when we're shopping stuff now, we're able to provide a better quote as opposed to, a year ago. It was, well, not only that, but just, hey,
10% higher.
Right. Despite the increase, still the best bet, So it looks like it is getting a little bit better.
Your job must be a lot more enjoyable. Or rather, it must have been pretty rough a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. We
joke around like, man, it used to be so much fun. As much fun as insurance can be,
right.
But it used to be fun, and then we went through just 4 years of just, getting kicked in the stomach every time we went.
Every client you got to call. Hey, guess what?
Yeah, all you got to do is look at the videos in the past of Ross's face on the show for a couple years there, and it's like, okay, we're talking about insurance. It's like he didn't even want people to know what he did for a living.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault, he just booking the stuff.
But you get the brunt of it.
Here's another potentially positive thing. That My Safe Florida Home program, we get the grants to stiffen up your house. You can put impact windows and roofs and secondary water barriers and stuff like that for your roof and all that, and strapping. 45,000 people on the waiting list right now, right?
Wow.
So it's a tremendous amount. But the good news is Florida's trying to budget $590 million to get those people the assistance they've requested.
I mean, honestly, it's the easiest way to get a new roof.
Yeah, and it's the
brand new roof.
Yes. Okay. Somebody, you used an example of somebody.
Okay, tell you my dad.
Yeah, tell me about that. So
my dad,
why this is a great program for if you need a new roof.
So the program works is if you qualify to upgrade your basically your wind mitigation report, because that's what it's based on. So if you're able to qualify for it, they come out and they do a wind mitigation report and they tell you the credits that you don't qualify for. 99% of the time, especially if you have an older roof, you're not qualifying for the secondary water resistance discount. It's maybe $85, $100, $200. It's not a huge discount, but you're not qualifying for it on the wind mitigation report. So technically, it's an upgrade, and the only way to upgrade that is to get a new roof.
But you got to do the underlayment. The only way you get to the underlayment is take off the roof.
That's right. So, if you spend $5,000, you're going to get $10,000 for the new roof. It's a great way to get $10,000 off a new roof.
It is.
So, yeah. So this program is really good. We just had one of our customers. Go ahead.
Now, real quick. This program, it's not free money. You sell that home,
No, it is free money.
It is free money?
Yeah. You spend $5,000. And they give you 10. Yeah, they give you $2 for every dollar that you spend.
Do you have to stay in the home for X amount of time?
Why do they do that
then? They're hoping that more people are going to
deferred maintenance. They're hoping that people stiffen up their houses so there's less damage.
So they're paying you.
Well, a lot of people are putting on shutters. This isn't it isn't just for a new roof, but
impact window, shutters,
impact
window protection,
shutters, whatever it is,
generator,
garage doors.
No, that doesn't help.
That's not right.
Garage door, right? Like if the garage door doesn't meet code.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But where you're going to reach your dollar for dollar out of pocket expense and everything is going to be by upgrading your roof.
Yeah. And so if you need to do that, that program's out there. The one thing that's bad about the program is we got 45,000 people on the waiting list. But if they kick in with this $590 million, you got to get in line now. in order to get the best results, just like the down payment assistance program. Anybody out there that's thinking that they're thinking about buying this year, and you're thinking maybe this summer, you got to call us now, because we're going to set you up with Mike and everybody and get everything all lined up.
Yep.
And then we'll start really hard shopping in May. And then in June, hopefully June, July, we get you in contract, and then you're first in line for that money, because we know in about 10 weeks when that program starts, which is usually July 1st, 10 weeks, that money's gone. So we have like a 10-week window to get you in, find your house, and do it. So if you're in that program, you can get 5% of the loan value of the house. I was looking at a customer, if they bought a 450 house right now, 450 townhome, they would get $10,000 from the state of Florida to help pay for their closing costs. The closing costs on that with FHA financing, down payment and closing costs, are basically $33,000. So if they get $10,000 from the state, they only got to bring $23,000 to the table, right? Not too bad. But if they wait till this summer and use the My Florida Hometown Heroes program, I kept saying MySafe, Florida Hometown Heroes program, if you use that program, which is that 10-week program, you can get 5% of the loan value. So if you're doing FHA financing, instead of getting $10,000 for that 450 townhome, you get $23,000 for that 450,000 townhome, and then you only got to bring $10,000 to the table instead of $23,000 to the table.
Big difference.
So those programs are really great out there, but you got to get in line and get ready for it. Same thing with this MySafe Florida Homes. We had Rick, his house is on the market right now. He has a log cabin home. He just did the MySafe program, and he put in impact windows everywhere.
Nice.
So now he's got impact windows in his log cabin home, which is great. Little bit of downside, he has 2 skylights. He has a 2019 roof, but he has 2 skylights, a metal roof he put in 2019. But he's got 2 skylights, and 2 of the doors are glazed, but they don't have any protection. Very easy to fix. That's $1,000 to fix those 2 things. But if somebody were to put on a roof in 2019 and they had a skylight, would that be?
You would think it would be.
Or you don't know. It depends.
My shoes are pre-tied. I wear flip. I'm not good with construction, and I know nothing. I'm not good with my hands.
I mean, I know we redid. I live in a townhome neighborhood. We redid ours 3 years ago, and it wasn't an option. They were all impact.
Oh, were they? Yeah, yeah. So these programs are great programs out there that you should use, and we use them all the time. These, until I started getting involved in this kind of stuff, if I hear about state programs, when I wasn't involved in real estate, I was just doing other stuff in my life, other profession or whatever. I was thinking, oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of work and paperwork, and I'm never going to get it, and I'm never going to get to the finish line. But let me tell you that Hometown Heroes and the Florida Bond Program for down payment, if you can qualify for the loan, you're basically getting that money. So there isn't like a big lot of hoops you got to jump through for those 2 programs. And the MySafe Florida Home Program, there is a little bit more work involved in that, but Rick gave a very good positive experience about going through that program, but he was on the waiting list for a year. So he had to wait for a whole year after he applied before he got the money.
You have to use their contractors
and
too.
You have to use their.
No, you don't.
Oh no, they changed that?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Ross.
He's a window and door guy, and they would not let him put it in.
They changed it.
Oh,
they changed it.
They changed it now.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. So you could do the work yourself?
You can't do I don't know if you can do the work yourself. I can only tell you my experience with my dad's.
Right.
Because I did it all, and it changed to.
You just picked whoever you wanted to pick.
I believe so.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
I believe so.
So there's a lot of positive stuff going on in the insurance market. You're not going to hear any of this in the news for a very long time. And then everybody's going to wake up and go, hey, things are getting better. It's like Florida Talk Real Estate to tell you that for 6 months now.
Yeah.
Because that's what always happens.
It was like
that's what always happens
5 years to the day that we were talking. I was telling you how bad, like we were getting renewals and we're seeing everything go up and it's been crazy. And then like a year later, they're like, oh man, insurance is terrible.
Exactly. We're always kind of on the cutting edge. We were on the cutting edge that interest rates are going to rise.
I remember telling the Palm Beach Post, like, hey, there's something going on. Like, if you want to talk about it, like, never, there was no articles.
I'm
ever.
mad at the Post. I tried to get their real estate reporter on for a couple of years, and she refuses to come on the show. And at one point, the Post said, "You're not a real news organization, so we're not going to put our people on there." And I'm like, you guys have probably less circulation than I've got right now.
Yeah. That legacy media, man, they just hold on. They're trying to hold on strong.
That's right. When you're in need of a pros pro, when you're buying a home, selling a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do, remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. We're on Facebook and YouTube. Lots of information to consume. In fact, Facebook, you get the details of the open house today on Riviera there, 11 to 2. Get those details. Go check out that condo. It's a great opportunity for somebody 55 and over with a boat slip. Come on, y'all. You want some lifestyle? Go get you some lifestyle. But remember, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You can change lives. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. AJ Hollman, ExperiencedAppraisers.com. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you very much.
And Ross Komarinetz with Brightway.